And now, the starting lineup of your favorite show. At producer, 5'11" from Blanchester, the Cow Killer, Casey McCollister. And comic engineer, standing at 4'8", the pride of the West Side, Elliot Rearing. And your host, weighing 150 pounds, soaking wet, from Hamilton, Ohio, Ace Fowler.
Here's the craziest part about switching the show format 5 times in a year. You have to keep the intro for a little bit until we figure something out. So that's going to be the intro. Hopefully this week we get it changed. Honestly, I think, Casey, the plan should be just the most generic intro possible. So when this show changes format again next month, that we can just keep it rolling over. And I think that's the new plan. But saying that, welcome on into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. It's been a wild week, a long week, but we are back. It's a new week. We are back in studio. We have Jimmy, Jacob, and Casey. We are back in Hamilton, Ohio. It's beautiful. For those listening on the radio, welcome on in. For those on YouTube, welcome on in. I'm going to start with my day, as I do every day, complaining about the traffic. So when I drive into work, past whatever high school that is, Ross, I keep driving. You get to Hamilton. They got a makeshift traffic light. Now, here's my issue with the makeshift traffic light. They don't actually use it. They have some guy flipping signs still. So now all of us got to just sit in that line for a half hour. So that's what it was this morning. I complain about it every day because it's absolutely absurd. They've fixed that road. I've worked here for a little over a year. 10 days, a year and 10 days I've worked here. They've shut that road down, I'm not kidding, 15 times. Outrageous. But nonetheless, Hamilton, they're going to do whatever they want. Gentlemen, how we doing? We'll start with Jimmy. You know what, Jacob? I'm going to start with Jimmy.
Let's start with Jimmy.
I'm doing great.
Is that it?
Yeah,
I shouldn't have started with Jimmy.
Why do you start with Jimmy?
That was my bad.
Yeah.
That was my bad. Jacob.
I'm doing great, Elliot. It was a good week up at the Memorial. Used those passes again on Sunday because, why not? So
Yeah.
Drove back up there with a couple of my friends, walked around on Sunday. Of course, it's even more beautiful than we thought, being able to actually walk around and explore a little bit.
Did you stay till the end?
Oh, yeah. We got down to 18 when Scotty was on probably 15 to try to beat the 50% of the patrons at that event were following Scotty Scheffler on Sunday, which is just an absolutely ridiculous way to watch golf.
Yeah.
But
I agree.
We dropped anchor on the hole 8 par 3 and just bet everyone to birdie except for Shane Lowry to bogey, and we hit it. I want to say an 80% clip. It was unbelievable.
Poor Shane Lowry, man.
He was wearing all black because he knew he looked fat on Sunday. And he played fat.
Shane Lowry, I have it written in my headlines here, but I just to show how hard this golf course was. Shane Lowry shot 4 under par. He shot 4 under par on Saturday. He gave him a chance at a top 10. Yesterday he shot 13 over par. He shot an 85 to finish in the 40s for the event.
Oh. I wanted to congratulate you and myself as well, the two of us, the clear winner of this tournament. The course by about 10 strokes over Scotty Scheffler, I would say.
Yeah, it was incredible watching yesterday. It was just like the triple bogeys. I don't think Scotty Scheffler made a putt all of this weekend. I think he made one putt longer than 10 feet on Saturday and Sunday.
It's amazing how good he is being a below average putter on tour. He's
Correct.
in like the 150s, I believe. Tour rank in putting, and he's distantly the number 1 player in the world. Just shows how good he is at everything else. So.
Yeah, it's this run by Scotty Scheffler is legitimately second to only Tiger Woods. And I'd argue with the changes in the finances with the PGA Tour, I think it's the best run that we've seen in the PGA Tour.
I was going to agree with that. I was actually going to make that take today, and then I saw a breakdown on Twitter of how much money Tiger would have made if there were raised payout events when he was playing.
Yeah.
And he still would be lapping Scotty. I mean, he won every single big event for about a 2 or 3 year stretch. So, I mean, definitely he didn't have that payout. So Scotty's sitting pretty, especially with that new kid. Get a new nursery built. Big win for the little boy or girl.
Scotty's also sitting at plus 300 to win the U.S. Open this weekend.
Feels like the odds are too long.
That's crazy, man.
And the field is so good, too, because all the live guys are playing.
There's 144 golfers in that event. And it's just like it's one of those things where you say anybody can win, but really it's just Scotty Scheffler versus the field. Like if you had to take Scotty Scheffler versus the field, you still take Scotty Scheffler. That's how good he's been. It's been incredible to watch. We'll talk more about that and our experience there. And speaking of our experience there, we get to see Casey today. Casey.
Yeah.
I'm here. I actually work for this company.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
And before you start, shout out to you and shout out to Reed. I think Reed's work day Reed's work week last week ended about, I'm not kidding, 3 minutes ago. He's been working nonstop all week. I want to say legit 20-hour days for 7 days straight. Reed Mouse has. It's been absolutely it's crazy what he does. And you yourself, we would literally not be able to broadcast, stream, do what we did at the Memorial without your services, without what you're able to do, and that goes incredibly unnoticed. And for that, we thank you, Casey. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and shout out to Reed. Seriously though, out of everyone here, he works the hardest out of all of us by a country mile.
It's not a competition, but if
It's
it
not a
were,
competition.
he'd
Gold
win.
medal Reed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd win.
Gold medal. Yeah, well, it was a great time this weekend. Got to go home and relax and just get some housework done. After working all week, I decided to work on my house since I was just in that mood to just
Keep it
working.
productive.
Keep it productive, right? Keep it rolling. Keep momentum going, and that's what I did. And then I just relaxed yesterday. So
Yeah, that's kind of what I did. Saturday I slept till 1 p.m. So that's same thing. Sleep till 1
I'm in
p.m.
Elliot's boat.
Yeah, I mean I got home Friday night and I was so tired I was just gone. I was just like, you know what, we're done. We're done for the day. We're done for tomorrow. We're done for the weekend. So that's what I did. Jim, I believe you were a world traveler.
Yes, I was a world traveler. I flew down to Charlotte on Saturday at 6:30. So I landed in Charlotte at 7:30. Helped my girlfriend move out of her apartment with her younger sister. And then we went and celebrated her younger sister's birthday, and then I woke up at 10 a.m. and drove right back here.
That's an absolutely ridiculous decision.
7 hour. It was a 7.5 hour drive. We stopped at Buc-ee's, which I went to Buc-ee's for the first time.
How was it?
I will say, it was cool, but there were so many people in Buc-ee's that I was a little bit overwhelmed, and I was like,
It's sensory overload. If you
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
up sensory overload in the
It is.
dictionary,
That's
it's a
Buc-ee's.
picture of Buc-ee's.
That's
Did you get a picture with the rat?
no, I
The
didn't.
rat.
There was a line, and I was so confused.
There was a line to take a
There was
picture
a
with
line.
it.
There
Take a
always
picture.
is.
And I was
It does not
like-
matter the time of day. There's a line for the gas station brisket, and there's a line for a picture with the rat.
I'm woke on Buc-ee's. There's no one on earth that can tell me hey, let's spend an hour or two of our day going to a gas station. I'm good. Thank you very much, though. If I would like food, I'll go somewhere else where that's where the main part of their stop
Yeah.
is. By the way, super chats from Justin. Justin Edgel says no live golfers help Scotty. I would disagree. I think the live golfers are pretty good. Outside of John Rahm. John Rahm did hurt himself over the weekend. I saw that. Drew Garrison, $5. I would die for Casey.
I would also die
Appreciate
for
that,
Casey.
Drew.
Would you die for
Jimmy.
him? Would you? Or excuse me. Are you happy that he would die for
Would you live for Drew Garrison?
Would you live for Drew Garrison?
I will live for you. I'll live for you and all the chat.
Yeah, listen.
That's
Shout
good.
out to the chat for sticking with us too this week. It was a long week. We might have not had our best stuff every day, but we tried to give you the best, and I think it was very fun for all of us. So, saying all that, God bless America and God bless Chatterbox
Nate
Sports.
has a crucial question about Jimmy's
Nate
life.
says, Manti Te'o went to Notre Dame and had a fake girlfriend. Jimmy goes to Notre Dame, and we don't know if his girlfriend is real.
I haven't seen a picture.
Fair.
Have you guys seen a picture?
Fair.
Interesting.
Good bit.
Interesting. That is a good bit. That is a really good bit.
It's a really
But
good
speaking of good bits, we'll
Jimmy
go into
Te'o.
we'll get into headlines here. The Reds. How about your Cincinnati Redlegs? They ended their 7-game winning streak yesterday, but I feel like once you get to 7, it doesn't really matter. Win 7 in a row and a loss is whatever. I would have liked to see 8. I would have liked to see it.
I would have liked to see bald Jimmy.
I would that would have been very funny.
It
too.
wouldn't have only been me, though, would it?
Well, we don't need the clip.
We don't have.
We don't have access to that.
I was not going to go dig that clip up.
We don't have access to
I'm
that.
almost certainly I said I would join
And
with
I
you.
also definitely did.
Yeah.
So-
I know I was not the only one, and that's why I asked. I wanted to find out who also
That's not how this works.
said they
Jimmy.
would do it
if
with
they go on a 13-game winning streak at some point this season, they're making the playoffs for sure, right?
Yes.
That's a
Well,
fact.
after the 8, yeah.
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
it's-
now that they're around 500, yeah.
The Reds ended their 7-game winning streak yesterday. Frankie Montas was terrible. 1 1/3 innings. I was there. He looked horrible. Looked like he didn't have it at all. Gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs, 3 walks. First inning was terrible. It was brutal. And I think that happens every once in a while. It's just a bad start. I don't think you look too much into it. It's not the end of the season. It's not the end of the world. Pitchers have bad games, and he had a bad game yesterday. On the other side, Shota Imanaga was dominant, 6 2/3 innings, giving up 5 hits and 2 earned runs, striking out 7. It could have gotten a little shaky had our guy, Santiago Espinal, not been thrown out at second base on a nonsensical play. But nonetheless, he was great yesterday and got out of the jam. Carson Spiers essentially gave the Reds a start, went 5 2/3 innings in relief, giving up 4 hits and 7 strikeouts. In his 5 innings this season, he's gone over 3 innings every single game, while only giving up 5 earned runs over that span. His ERA is now 2.33. Interesting. I will say it's interesting.
So, quick question. Maybe we can get into it later. Maybe we can get into it now.
Yeah.
We talked about Graham Ashcraft potentially moving to the bullpen when Brandon Williamson comes back up.
Sure.
Are we entirely sure Carson Spiers isn't a better bullpen arm than Graham Ashcraft would be?
See, here's my thing on this. We've seen Carson Spiers come out of the pen, and he's looked great. And he goes these long relief appearances. I like to continue that.
That's what we're looking for out of Ashcraft, though, at this point, it seems. So if Spiers has proven to be able to do it.
Yeah, I do think, I mean, you can't argue Carson Spiers has been, there's no debate. He's been better than Graham Ashcraft this season in limited starts. So saying that, yeah, I'd keep the hot hand rolling with Spiers whenever they decide to bring up Brandon Williamson. Continuing on here, Luke Maile, he boosted his average to 189. His OBP to 294. He did hit a home run, so shout out to Luke Maile. That's our guy. The Reds' offense went to sleep. 5 total hits. Again, 2 of them by Santiago Espinal. One of those he was gunned down, trying to extend a single into a double. Steer in India also had a hit apiece. The Reds are back at it Tuesday night against the Cleveland Guardians in the Ohio Cup. It feels like we haven't won the Ohio Cup in about 10 years.
Most prestigious piece of metal in the MLB.
That's correct. Who will take home the gold? It was announced Hunter Green was pushed back, so he will not be starting tomorrow. He was supposed to be starting. David Bell came out and said he will not be. He's pushed back. It was not Hunter Green's idea. Everything is okay. Per David Bell. Again, take that with a grain of salt, obviously. Around the league, the Yankees, they beat the Dodgers last night 6-4. Yankees hit 3 home runs en route to their victory. Diamondbacks, they destroyed the Padres 9-3. Santiago has lost 6 of their last 8. Tough to be one of the wild card teams. The Angels, they walked off the Houston Astros 9-7 on a Logan O'Hop home run. The ball was in Trey Cabbage's, man, these names, Trey Cabbage's glove, but fell out. The Blue Jays, they beat the Athletics 6-4. The Cardinals split with the Rockies at home, winning yesterday 5-1. The Red Sox split their 4-game set with the White Sox. They win 6-4 yesterday in the 10th inning. The White Sox, how about them, man? Shout out to them. They got over a 14-game losing streak and split the series with the Red Sox.
Are the Red Sox the most 500 team in baseball?
Yes.
It doesn't matter who they play, the Yankees, the Phillies, the White Sox, the Athletics. They're splitting the series.
They're splitting with everybody. It does not matter. They're just the definition of mediocre this season, but good luck to them. Mariners beat the Royals in 10 innings to avoid their first sweep of the season. And that's what it's. Listen, when you talk about like the little things, the Mariners not being swept and it's June 10th, that's what keeps your team alive. How many wins is that? That's an absurd amount of wins or losses, avoided. The Tigers, they dismantled the Brewers 10-2.
Yeah, they did.
Tarek Skubal earned his 8th win of the season and drops his ERA to sub-2. I found this stat and I wanted to read it from my guy Jim. He joins Clayton Kershaw in 2014 as the only pitchers in MLB history with an 18-start stretch with 100-plus innings pitched, 20 or fewer earned runs, 20 or fewer walks, 130-plus strikeouts, and 13-plus wins. Skubal is 13-1 with a 1.64 ERA and a 139-19 strikeout-to-walk ratio over his last 18 starts. Jimmy, that's your guy.
Yeah, that's my guy. He's just incredible. Like, the Tigers are a team that they don't hit very well at all. Even worse than the Reds probably now after their little run. But it's every time he steps out on the mound, no matter who we're playing, you feel like you should win that game. And the Brewers, great hitting team. Very frustrating watching them play this weekend because they don't swing at balls and they hit a lot of line drives, and that has won them a lot of games. And it just felt like yesterday with Scuba on the mound, we just totally overpowered them. And he hit, I think it came out as 102 on the broadcast, but I think the official number was 101.7, which is the second fastest pitch this season from a starting pitcher behind Paul Skeens.
Really?
Which was 101.9.
What inning was that in?
I don't remember.
You don't have to look it up. You don't have to look it up. I just was curious because it was late in the game.
Jimmy holds a Scooball Cy Young ticket for preseason.
I do hold a preseason Scooball Cy Young ticket at 16
Oh.
16 to 1. And I believe Scooball's around even money now.
He's
to win
plus
it?
140.
Yeah.
Whoa, how about this? Look at Jim. The Guardians beat the hopeless Marlins 6-3. I forget the Marlins exist. Nationals, they win their 4-game set against the Braves after an 8-5 victory last night. Twins helped the cause yesterday, beating the Pirates 11-5 to avoid a sweep. We got more headlines coming back up immediately following this break. We're going to take a short break for the radio listeners. For the YouTube watchers, you're just going to see us sit here in silence for 5 seconds. We'll be right back. And welcome back in Shutterbox Sports, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are off the bench. I am Elliot, that is Casey, that is Jacob, and that is Jimmy, a.k.a. Rudy. I have to start calling you Rudy again. We have too many J's in this office to be throwing around the J nickname. So I got Jay outside. I got Jimmy/Rudy here. I'm still working on one for Jacob. I don't got one for Jacob yet.
You got to pick a nickname though. There's too many that keep.
I think
Rudy.
Rudy can stick.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think Rudy can stick as just your first name, not even nickname.
Fair.
Like that's just your name now. You're gonna have to go down to the BMV after work. We'll let you off early. Get that changed around.
Get it changed.
Yeah.
NL Central standings. The Brewers are in first place still, 38-27. The Cubs and the Reds are tied for second, 32-34, both 6.5 back. The Cardinals are 31-33, also 6.5 back. And the Pirates are 31-34 and 7 games back. It's a tight race in the NL Central. There is a 4-way tie for that final wild card spot between the Giants, Cubs, Reds, and Cardinals. Pirates a half game back. So, the NL Central, very, very, very competitive. NBA last night. I didn't watch too much of it because I just don't think this series is going to be very competitive, and I was right again. The Celtics hold on to beat the Mavericks 105-98. Luka did everything he could to cover the spread. 32 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds. Irving, again, no-showed, 7 for 18 from the field. PJ Washington was the second leading scorer with 17 points. Drew Holiday for the Celtics, he led the way with 26 points, 11 for 14 shooting, adding 11 rebounds. Jaylen Brown added 21 points and 7 assists. Jason Tatum, and again, you can call me a non-ball knower. Jason Tatum doesn't show up in the finals. He just doesn't show up. 18 points, 6 for 22 shooting. He did have 9 boards and 12 assists. This finals, in a 2-game stretch, he's 12 for 38 shooting, 31%, 28% on three-pointers, and averaging just 17 points while committing almost 5 turnovers a game. Yikes. I'm convinced if Derek White doesn't play, that's a bigger loss than if Jason Tatum doesn't play.
I mean, I do think that's one of your worst takes. And
I think that's one of my best takes. Jason Tatum doesn't show up ever.
Jason Tatum almost had a triple-double last night. The Celtics don't win that game if he's not on the court.
Yeah. I disagree.
So
I think you could replace.
He had 13 assists and 9 rebounds.
I think you could replace him
he
with.
was getting double-teamed every time he brought the ball up the court.
I think you could replace him with Austin Reeves. Go ahead.
We posted that clip. What day was that? On Friday.
Yeah.
About your take on that, and I don't think it's really a knock on Tatum. I think it's more of a Derek White is very important to that basketball team. I think Tatum is being very passive. I think there were a lot of shots he could have taken last night that he passed up, which people are like,
thank God he did, because he was 6 for 22 from the field.
Yeah, and people were like, oh, he had 12 assists, and well, he has 12 assists because he's passing up a lot of shots. I don't think Tatum's bad.
I think he does a good job of recognizing when he's not shooting well and helping the team in other ways.
And I
because
think
he doesn't have to score 20. He would score 20 a game if he had to score 20 a game in order for them to win.
Because
he doesn't, and he just does what he has to do in order for them to win games.
Do you think if he if he tried to take over the game, like he was the number one guy on that team, which at the end of the day he is the star on that team, but if he played every game especially in the finals, like he was the number one guy, I feel like then he's not as valuable. Whereas he's able, like Jacob said, to recognize that he can rebound the ball, rack up assists, and be there for his team in other ways, rather than just being the superstar that people think he should be, but he doesn't need to be.
Realistically, of course, both of you are right. But I'm gonna die with that take. I'm gonna die with the take that Derek White is more important to the Celtics
Kirby, clip that.
than Jason Tatum. Oh, I'm sure it already is clipped. The Memorial. Sorry, I didn't say the next game is Wednesday between these two. That's a sweep, right? We can talk about how that's a sweep.
Mavericks are favored in Game 3, 2 point favorites.
What?
They don't lose at home, so I think they're going to win Game 3.
That's crazy.
If they lose Game 4, we'll see what happens. But
I thought
Luka's walking in the stadium in bubble wrap.
well, Luka, let's be very clear with Luka Doncic. If he makes shots, he's cussing out everyone in the first 3 rows of the stadium. If he misses shots, he's getting shot in the chest with a shotgun every time he's getting back on defense.
Yeah.
Luka, I don't doubt that he's hurt. He plays a very unique brand of basketball. He's not in great shape, which I think helps his brand of basketball with the stop and go, being able to use his body a little bit more. But he took a lot of contact in that Minnesota series. He's obviously laboring. I'm not knocking his injury. I do think he's playing it up because they're down 2-0, and they just lost a game where the Celtics shot about 30% from the field.
I did see a lot of funny tweets when he was walking into the arena, and it said it was him in bubble wrap all around his body. And it was, somebody quote tweeted and said, the walk of somebody who just tried the sushi at an AutoZone. And I think that's the funniest thing of all time. I think Luka's by far the best player on the court. I don't think it's close in that series. Saying that, where's your guy, Kyrie Irving? Where is he?
Yeah,
I'm trying to find him.
It's been bad. It's been bad, and that's something that the Mavericks need to be competitive. I mean, they were trailing by 3 in the end of the first half because Peyton Pritchard chucks in a absolute crap half-court shot.
Yeah.
And it's because Kyrie had, I think, 12 points in the first half, and he ended the game with 16. So he started to turn it on there in the first half, and that's why the Mavericks were in the game. That's why it looked like they might win, but obviously disappeared in the second half. Brutal for him, who's been a closer, but 0 for 14 against the Celtics since he stepped on Lucky at midcourt. So I think he might be cursed.
The Mavericks just got to calm down. The Earth's still going to spin tomorrow. Well, not for Kyrie because the Earth is flat. But the Memorial this weekend, Scotty Scheffler, he won the Memorial. 8 under par is your winning score. It got close at the end. Were you there for the end?
I was.
You were there for the end.
I wish Morikawa.
It got close. Morikawa lost by a stroke. He had a chance on that last hole. He hit that chip so clean on 18. He thought it was in. I thought it was in on TV. He landed it in the perfect landing zone to make that shot, and he just fell a little bit to the left. But it was very close. It was a great tournament. Scheffler has now set another new single PGA Tour earnings record, beating his previous 2 from the previous 2 years.
Scotty Scheffler has only lost 2 tournaments not won 2 tournaments in the last 2 months, and that's when there were pending felony accusations. So Scotty with no pending felonies is 3-0 in the last 2 months.
It's absurd. 2022, $14 million. 2023, $21 million, and this year, $24 million with 3 months left in the season. So he's going to keep adding to it for sure.
How low do you think his odds could get? Plus 300 to win the U.S. Open this week.
I think
a
there's
full field, live included. If he wins this event, 250.
If he gets to if he plays in one of those events that not everybody gets to play in, like they're just skipping it, but Scotty does it just because he can win it. I think he can get down to plus 110. I really do.
No.
I think he can get to even money if like only 2 of the top 10 golfers in the world are playing in an event, and Scotty is.
If he wins this U.S. Open this coming week, is he in the 200s for the next major?
Yeah.
That's insane.
He has to be. That's how good he's been. Again, I mentioned the Shane Lowry stat, just an absurd course. Scotty has more worldwide victories since January 1st of 22. Then hold on, I'm going to read this list, so bear with me.
Bad stat.
He has more worldwide wins since January 1st of 2022 than Patrick Reed, Adam Scott, Cam Young, Tyrrell Hatton, Justin Rose, Ricky Fowler, Jason Day, Jordan Spieth, Will Zalatoris, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Bryson DeChambeau, and Hideki Matsuyama combined.
That's a fun little read. Those are my least favorite stats in the entire world because you just cherry picked big names.
Correct.
Who haven't won you looked at who has won, and you put enough people in there so that there are some wins, and then you cherry-picked other big names who are out of their prime. That's a terrible stat, but
Great
very
stat.
fun to read.
Great stat, because stats only help your agenda. WNBA. Team USA veterans were concerned about how Caitlin Clark's millions of fans would react to her likely limited playing time on a stacked Olympic roster. So they didn't add her to the team. They said, you know what? No Caitlin Clark. Why would we want somebody who everybody's watching right now on our team? We'll just keep the ball rolling with 47-year-old Diana Taurasi. Good luck to them. By the way, I am cheering against the United States women's team now. I'm cheering for Canada, Russia, whatever women's team
China.
that is good
Cosign.
enough. Which one?
Cosign.
Yeah, listen. Who you said they haven't lost a game in how many Olympics?
They're minus 1,400 to win the gold medal, and they haven't lost a game in I think it's 3 Olympics or 4 Olympics.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet about it. Sorry if that's wrong.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal this.
Believe it or not, I'm not that dialed into U.S. women's Olympic basketball, and that could have changed if they had Caitlin Clark on the team.
Yeah, that team's basically Russia in 1980. I'm stealing that joke. College baseball, we have the College World Series is set. I saw this stat, Jacob. 300 teams play in Division I baseball. 31 conferences. Only the ACC and the SEC will have teams competing in the College World Series. How about that, chalk?
But a massive, expansive field lets other teams compete for a championship, right, Elliot?
That's correct. That's correct. And that's a stat that I will hold near and dear to my heart until the end of time. I watched that game yesterday. I don't know if you watched it. It was that Florida. It was the Florida-Clemson game.
Great game.
Did you see the kid who got kicked out?
He didn't get kicked out, I don't think. I think the coaches got kicked out.
No, the kid got kicked out.
Really?
Yeah, he went to my high school, and a bunch of kids from my high school were like posting pictures of them FaceTiming him in the locker room after, like, he was just sitting in there
Really?
after he got kicked out.
So I saw he got a warning. I know. I don't know if he got actually kicked out. 2 coaches on Clemson got kicked out, but I don't know if the kid did. He hit a home run in the what is it, 14th inning, 13th inning, whatever inning it was. Hit the go-ahead home run. Flipped the bat. The umpire gave him a warning. The coaches thought it was stupid, so they went and yelled at him. That broadcast was crazy because they just kept throwing shots at the camera people. There was no camera angles apparently available for the game. They were
so bad.
They were struggling the entire way, and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry." And then one of the broadcasters was like, this is where the NCAA needs to step up because we don't know what's going on the field. We don't know why the Clemson coach is arguing, yada yada yada. Crazy broadcast. I wish I knew college baseball so I could talk about it. But there was that catch out in center field. That's the greatest catch I've seen this season.
That was incredible.
I don't know, like, the difficulty, and he never caught it in the glove is the craziest part. It was over the shoulder, dead sprint to center field, caught it on his wrist, and he just hung it up there to his chest.
They ended up losing, but if he drops that ball, they lose the game.
Yeah.
So the situation obviously matters for how cool it was as well.
Yeah, I listen, I'm not a college baseball guy, but I think that's pretty cool. I will be tuning into some of these games as the late night ESPN broadcast will happen out there. So yeah, that is your headlines. We will be talking about the Cincinnati Reds coming up next. We're also going to be talking a little bit about some of the greatest sporting events that we've been to each personally, because I think any of us can say that this weekend was absolutely incredible. The Memorial was an awesome event. It was cool to be there on the course, 5 feet from PGA Tour pros, chipping and putting, or I guess just chipping. It was absolutely phenomenal. Casey, you got to experience the media dining room 0 times.
Yep.
Your thoughts on that?
I mean,
That's a working man.
Yeah, I didn't get to see any of the course. just the chipping green.
But hypothetically, if you could have, what was your favorite part? If you could have experienced it.
So listen. I did get to still experience some of the food.
Yeah.
Because Reed was nice enough to always make sure I was fed at lunch, and you guys were helping me out with getting waters and Pawnee waters, of course, and other sort of drinks and beverages. I think the food was pretty good, in all honesty. I don't know what you guys thought,
It was
but
good on Sunday too.
what I had was pretty good.
How'd your boys like the media food?
They thought it was really cool.
Yeah, I imagine so. Listen, getting able to have a credential and you just flash it and knowing that you're just cooler than everybody, that's a great feeling.
That was pretty sick.
That's a great feeling. Unfortunately, again, Casey didn't get to use that feeling too much, but when I was walking out on the course and I just had it And it didn't really give me any privileges when you get out to the course, but I was just flipping it around, showing people anyway. Oh my God, it's the greatest feeling ever. But you have your pass. If you want to go back next year, I'm sure it'll work.
Yeah, my
I'm sure
pass.
it
I
will.
want to frame it.
Yeah, I'll get that framed for you.
It would be really cool if that's a year-round event, though. If we get
I hope.
a yearly event.
It'd be a lot of fun.
I sent a picture of my credential to my friend.
Yeah.
Who loves golf, and he's like, I didn't know this was a thing, but he's asked me if we got to play the course the day before, and I was like, no. He's like, oh, I get at some of those events, I guess they let media play the course
I think it's
the day before.
the people on the course, the courtside broadcasters and stuff are allowed to play so that they get an understanding of the course
Yeah.
before they broadcast it. I don't think it's,
We were technically courtside.
I guess you're right.
Of the putting.
We definitely weren't courtside.
Yeah, course side.
Course side.
I mean, if you're Elliott, you just pay $50 and you're in the whole thing.
That is true.
altogether.
Casey, until about tea time on Thursday, thought Elliott was playing.
Casey. That's tough. I mean, there's no way around that. That's tough. I shouldn't be able to fool you like that. But I was real quick before we end this headline segment. The Twin City Connect jerseys. I sent this to you, Casey. I have 2 clips here. I forgot to use them during the headline, so I'm going to use them now because I have to, or else we're going to forget. The Twins revealed their City Connect jerseys. I don't hate them. The 2 guys on the other side of the room hate them. I think they're similar to that Philly jersey where it looks like they're a professional softball team. But saying that, there's a little bit of creativity there. I just want my favorite part about these are they're supposed to be different than the standard uniform that they have, the standard jersey that they have. And these are definitely different than the traditional Minnesota jerseys. So it's okay, it's something different to look at. And I like that. If you look at the Dodgers, they don't change it. They have the polka dot looking like Pop-Tart type jersey, and then they've got Los Dodgers in all blue, a jersey they already have. So I don't hate these. Also, about right back to that Caitlin Clark clip, Casey. Her coach was asked about the situation, and Caitlin Clark had something snippy to say.
This elephant in the room is the Team USA roster. Caitlin's not on it. What was your reaction when you saw that list come out yesterday?
Yeah, a little disappointed, of course. She's my player. That's the hardest team in the world to make, right? That is a tough team. She's young. She's going to have so many opportunities in the future.
How did you coach her up through that, or did you talk to her at all through that to make it more of a motivating factor than anything?
Yeah, we talked actually on the bus. She got the call on the bus, and she texted me to let me know. And, I just tried to keep her spirits. I mean, the thing she said was, hey, Coach, they woke a monster, which I thought was awesome.
Is there any silver lining? And she'll get a little bit of rest. She'll be able to work on some things in that 3-week break.
Yeah, I think that is the silver lining. She is going to get some rest.
How about that? They awoke the monster. That is Caitlin Clark. I think that's the dumbest thing anybody could have done. Literally the most famous player that's statistically better than probably half that team will not be joining because the limited playing time has to go to 47-year-old Diana
It is great
Taurasi.
that she's getting some rest, though. WNBA schedule goes college season straight into the draft a week later, straight into the WNBA season right after that. It's got to be wearing on her at some point. So these 3 weeks actually being 3 weeks off instead of playing in the Olympics, that'll be great.
Yeah. That's it. Segment 2 has come to a close. ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We will be right back with you. Welcome on into Chatterbox Sports, Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are live on the radio, ESPN 1410 Wing AM, the home of the best sports coverage, as well as the YouTube. I'm getting
I want
laughter.
to clear something up in the
I'm getting
chat.
sure.
Jeremiah said Caitlin Clark will make the Olympic team next year. It's no big deal. Just want to clear it up. Olympics are every 4 years.
I don't know. Listen, Jay. We gotta catch you up. We gotta catch you up, man. We gotta catch you up on some of these sporting events. 4 years, Jay. 4 years. But listen, hopefully she makes it next year in some made-up tournament that Jeremiah watches. But that's it. Listen, continuing on the Cincinnati Reds, we talked about it early on. The 12, 13, 14-game winning streak, no more. They lost it at 7, and it's fine. It's one of those games where you look back on during the course of an 162-game season, and you say, you know what? I don't even remember that game happening. And that's what will happen. We get to September of this season. Nobody in their right minds will remember the time the Reds lost on a Sunday afternoon in a series victory game against the Chicago Cubs. So that's what it was yesterday. It's what it felt like pretty much from the very first pitch. I didn't think Frankie had it. I didn't think the offense had it. And it was one of those games where you're walking through the motions. Carson Spiers did have it, and that's a guy that's playing for his job right now. So I think there's a very big difference between what he's doing and the rest of the team. But I don't take anything too much away from this game. It's a game you lose to a Cy Young contender, probably NL Rookie of the Year winner, and Shota Imanaga. So it's not like I'm going to freak out about it. It's nothing like that. You won the series. You've won, I don't know how many of it, 13 of their last, 13 of the last 15, something like that, right. 16. It just happens. These games happen. That's the part where the Twitter people who say, you're not built for 162. If you were freaking out over yesterday, you truly aren't built for 162 because that game just didn't matter. And every game matters, sure, but that one really, in the large scheme of things, I've seen enough from this Reds team over the course of, 3 weeks now, where I know that that yesterday was not indicative of how they're performing today.
Yeah, I'm back on the wagon. I mean, we talked about it up at the Memorial that we absolutely needed a 2-2 split in a 4-game series in order to keep the high level of excitement about the Reds after that win streak. And obviously they kept that going with winning the first 3 games of the series, which is more than we ever could ask for. I mean, they really showed some good stuff, some good fight to start this series and keep beating divisional opponents, keep playing good baseball as you go into this next stretch. Obviously the Guardians the next series, but a lot more divisional matchups coming up. We could make up a lot of ground very, very soon.
Yeah, I'm tentative to use the word back because I don't want to.
I'm back in on this team competing for maybe making the playoffs.
Sure,
that's fair.
And by the way, it certainly is the case. I read off the wild card. Like there's a long list of teams that I'd argue are pretty mediocre that the Reds can certainly get in over there. I think the Reds are better than the St. Louis Cardinals. I think they're better than the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think they're better than the San Francisco Giants. I think we played the Giants, unfortunately, at a bad time when the Reds were slumping. Nobody was performing offensively at all. I think the Reds are better than a lot of teams in the National League at this very second. And from that standpoint, sure, I'm back. But the team, we've seen it over the past 2 seasons how inconsistent. They'll go on this run, and I'm hoping that's not the case on Tuesday and Wednesday. But I've seen them go on a little streak to match their winning streak. Don't get swept against Cleveland this week, please. Don't lose both games. Take a game, and we're all happy. Nobody's expecting 2 wins, especially when you don't have an announced starter on tomorrow's game. But as we continue on through this season, it is important to note that what we saw a month and a half ago, that's no longer the team. That's no longer the team today. It's clear TJ Friedel meant a lot more to this roster than initially we all thought. It's more. He means more than I thought. Nick Kirby said it on Chatterbox Reds. TJ Friedel was an incredible player last season, arguably the best player last season, most important, most valuable offensive player last season. Not having him for the first half of the season, brutal. It doesn't allow the Big Red Platoon, as Nick so eloquently says, and as Trace eloquently says on Chatterbox Reds, doesn't allow it to work the way we intended to. Will Benson, Jake Fraley, switching spots between center and right and left. You have Spencer Steer obviously only playing left, but it doesn't allow the space these guys need. And Stuart Fairchild's been incredible too. It's no knock on Stuart Fairchild. He's held up his role great. But now it allows Stewart to only play against lefties. You're never going to see Stewart against the right-handed again. That was it. And God forbid another injury happens. But as of right now, that's it. Stuart Fairchild done against right-handed pitching, and he's going to go back to his role, which is he faces lefties, and he can play a great center field in backup to TJ Friedel. The Reds are back. The Reds are back in terms of that they're competitive. They were 20-30. They are 32-34 today. That's no small feat. That's an incredible accomplishment. If they go 9-8 over their next 15, they will be 500 by the the All-Star break. I don't know if it's the All-Star break or if it's the.
I think it's game 84.
Game 80, the halfway mark.
42.
So that's where the Reds are right now, and we can talk about the offense here in a bit. I want to talk about a little bit of the Carson Spiers dilemma as well. I didn't get to talk about it on Saturday because we didn't have a show, but Tyler Stevenson's defensive play to save that game, and it looks like another Alexis Diaz meltdown. Incredible, and that's a play I hope we remember this season because that was vastly important. If he saved the game.
Yeah.
And again, yesterday at the Memorial, we were talking about Alexis Diaz being back. I don't know, Jacob. I try to watch Alexis Diaz.
I want to talk about Tyler Stevenson, though, for a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
Before we really get into Alexis Diaz, because obviously he's been shaky, and we need to talk about that. But last year, I mean, Tyler Stevenson was terrible behind the plate. Terrible. Not sugarcoating anything. He was one of the worst catchers in the entire MLB.
Yeah.
5th percentile in framing, 19th catching above average, 22nd in blocks above average. This year, in 2024, Tyler Stevenson's been one of the better catchers in the entire league when you accompany his hitting with his improved defense. 88th percentile in blocks above average. That's 4 outs above average blocking behind the plate. He's 81st percentile in framing. That's just a ridiculous jump.
Yeah.
We all talked about we needed him to get better defensively. In my wildest dreams, I didn't think he would be an 80th percentile defender behind the plate. He still struggles a little bit with his pop time. People are succeeding stealing bases on him, but man, if this is the Tyler Stevenson we can have, if we can even have a Tyler Stevenson that's a little bit worse than how he's playing right now, he needs to be the catcher of this team for a long time because this is something that's really hard to find. A catcher with this kind of offensive output, this kind of consistent offensive output. And if he can be this good behind the plate, he's a crucial piece to where this Reds team can go.
Yeah, he's a guy, I think we talked about it last week, but an extension has to be in the near future for him, and it's deserved. I wrote him off. A lot of the fan base, I'd say, I saw it on Twitter all this weekend, they owe Tyler Stevenson an apology. I do owe Tyler Stevenson an apology. And once the season ends and I make my yearly apology video, he will be probably number 1 because he's needed to step up this season, especially with how bad Luke Maile has been offensively. You've needed Tyler Stevenson to step up, and that's what he's done offensively and defensively. And it helps this pitching staff out as well because I think you're starting to see more trust amongst the relievers, amongst the starters with our guy Tyler Stevenson. And I don't know who's responsible for the coach up there this offseason. Maybe it was him. Maybe it was himself. Maybe he took it upon himself to be better, and I'm sure he gets a lot of credit for that. But the Reds coaching staff, who takes a lot of flack nonstop, working with Tyler Stevenson and getting him ready to play this season has been crucial and vital. So shout out to them. The end of the bullpen relievers, the high leverage relievers. I don't know if I trust them anymore. I try to be consistent with this take, but again, it's just a fickle thing because relievers only get remembered for their last worst start. It's the worst start is what people remember you for. They don't remember anything you do positively at all unless you're Alexis Diaz and you go on that 18 game saves in a row streak, something like that. But you don't remember how good Lucas Sims has been this year. You just remember what he did in his last outing. What he did in his last outing wasn't good. I don't know if you can change what the order is for the high leverage guys. That is Fernando Cruz, Alexis Diaz, and Lucas Sims. And I think it really should be a close by committee. I don't think there should be a set closer anymore. I think Alexis Diaz has, in my opinion, lost that role just because this season he hasn't been good. It's a consistent leadoff walk to start every 9th inning, and that goes with him and Sims and Cruz, all of them. And sometimes Cruz doesn't have it. But saying that, I do think the Reds need a little bit of help in the relief area. They need one, and I saw Brian B. This is a good chat from Brian B. They do need one set down, lockdown reliever that the Reds can trust. And I don't know if you have that anymore. You have guys we can trust in terms of Carson Spiers had a great weekend. You have Brent Suter, who seemingly comes out and is nails every time. Nick Martinez is great out of the pen. Buck Farmer, for the most part, has a 2 ERA. So it's you have guys that have played great, but do you trust them? And my whole thing is no, I don't. And I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but as of right now, I don't think in the 9th inning I'm comfortable anymore.
There was probably nothing I was more confident in with this team last year than the back end of the bullpen.
Yeah.
Alexis Diaz was absolutely nails the entire year. And this year, just looking at the change in his numbers, not having it might even be sugarcoating it a little bit. Last year he had a 192 expected batting average and a 340 expected ERA. This year, it's a 2.15 expected batting average and a 4.2 ERA.
Yeah.
His 36% whiff percentage, which was 90th percentile in the MLB last year, is now down. Is now down to the 65th percentile at 27.1%, and his elite 30.1 K percentage, which is what made him one of the best closers in the entire league, 98th percentile, is down to 24.8, down at 67%. He had the best breaking run value on breaking pitches of anyone in the league last year at 99th percentile. This year he's in the 60th percentile.
Yeah.
His pitching run value is down to 39th percentile in the entire MLB. I mean, this guy is not a closer. He's simply not a closer. He might not even be a high leverage reliever right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that bad. You talk about the handing a leadoff walk when he comes in. I would love to know the numbers on that, but it seems like every single time he's on the bump, the first guy is at least getting a 3-ball count. Sometimes he gets out of it or whatever, but he does not have shutdown stuff anymore. And if you don't have that, you can't pitch in high leverage situations. It's that simple.
It's Fernando Cruz versus the world, really. And I trust Fernando Cruz to an extent. Fernando Cruz does the thing though too, where he walks guys, and if Fernando Cruz doesn't have it for that first batter, he doesn't have it. Period. It's hard for me to have confidence in him when he walks that leadoff guy. He comes in and he can get anybody out of any jam. That's a fact, and that's where I trust Fernando Cruz. But saying that, there is sometimes the difficulty of these walks, and it seems like the bullpen walks guys like crazy. Yeah. Lucas Sims has been another guy that's been incredible this season, and it goes under the radar because you have the big names like Fernando Cruz and Alexis Diaz. But Lucas Sims' stats, I mean, they're good. I mean, he's been good. He's got, a 4.4 ERA. But over his last, 10 starts or 10 outings, he's given up 2 runs. He's been great. His strikeout numbers are pretty good. The walk numbers are the only concerning thing, and as I've said, it's the thing that as we continue on, it's my only fear. The Reds are going to walk guys in.
He had a rough game Saturday, Sims, and then they bring in Justin Wilson to close it down, and that's the kind of thing you open the door to be able to do as a team when you don't have a named reliever or a named closer. Sorry. Like if Diaz is in there and he's your all-star closer, quote unquote, you feel like you can never take him out with an out left or 2 outs left in the 9th or 10th or whatever it is. With taking that name off of him, that means nothing. In all honesty, it means nothing. It's just who you go to at that time. By closing by committee, you open the door to really just put in whoever has the best stuff, and that's what gives this Reds team the best chance to win. I know you said Buck Farmer's been good as a Red, but a lot of people in the chat are very, very sure that he's been bad. I want to go over Buck Farmer's numbers real quick in the last 3 years with the Reds. This year, his ERA is 2.51 in 2024. Last year, his worst year with the Reds, a 4.2 ERA, and in 2022, a 3.83. I don't know about you, but Buck Farmer gets a bad rap in this city, and man, he's been really, really good as a Red in his tenure here.
Yeah, and this is the thing. It's almost perception based with these relievers. Because I came into last season thinking this bullpen was going to be the worst in Major League Baseball. I was wrong. They were very good. I don't know if it was overperforming or what it was. Most of the bullpen, yes. The ERA, the numbers are good. It comes down to trust, and do you trust them? And I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I trust our starting pitching. The pitching staff has been incredible this season. There's no doubt about it. And the bullpen as a whole, yes, has been good. But it comes down to that specific 9th inning, and still it comes down to I don't know. I don't know if I trust it. Lucas Sims over his last 15 games has a 2.45 ERA, and that is with 13 strikeouts in his last 15 appearances. So Lucas Sims has been very good as of late. I should have been more clear about that. And that's it for segment number 3. We'll be back talking more Reds in a bit. For those radio listeners on ESPN 1410 Wing AM, we'll catch you in a second. And welcome back into Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are Chatterbox Sports. I am Elliot, that is Casey, that is Jacob, and that is Rudy. As we continue on, as we roll down this show, some generic thoughts on the Reds I had. It appears, as of right now, that the Reds' schedule isn't too, I want to say difficult, but when you play a bunch of divisional teams, every game's competitive. So that's the part of it where every game's winnable, but at the same time, there's no easy gimme games. going forward. And that includes with the Cleveland Guardians, who are somehow 20 games over 500. Who is better consistently with a roster that nobody really believes in, the Guardians or the Brewers?
I was going to say it's one of those two teams.
Guardians.
I go back and forth on it, but it's crazy. I'll never believe in the Milwaukee Brewers. I'll never believe in the Cleveland Guardians, but here they both are leading their divisions. Guardians 20 games over 500. 20.
Ridiculous.
It's
vote manager of the year. Managers matter so much.
Managers matter a lot.
He does a lot.
Very funny. I got a text when Lucas Sims came in that ninth inning, and he almost blew it. I got a text from somebody I know, and he doesn't text when the Reds win. He just texts when they lose. And he came out and he said, "This is why we don't like David Bell, because Lucas Sims should not be in this game. He's not a high level." At the same time, like, that's their job. Lucas Sims, Alexis Diaz, and Fernando Cruz are the high leverage guys. They have to pitch in that situation. That is their role on the roster. So I don't know what we're complaining about. David Bell, I don't know if anybody gave him any credit for that 7-game winning streak. I didn't see any credit veered towards him, but I will do it right now. Shout out to David Bell for getting this season back on track. If you didn't think if you thought he was a big part of the losses before, you have to give him credit now. You have to attribute at least some credit to him for getting this team back on track, and that's certainly what they look like right now. They are. Again, I'm not going to use the word back, but they're competitive again, and that's all I asked. The offensive side of the baseball, the Reds have been a lot better. TJ Friedl. Is there enough words to describe how important TJ Friedl is to this roster? What he does defensively is great. Offensively, he gives you the spark that seemingly they've needed all season long. And I'm looking around the roster right now. You have Spencer Steer. You have Jonathan India, who are tearing the cover off the baseball. I think Jamier Candelario is hitting .295 since May 20th. All around this lineup, when we had seemingly nobody able to hit, now everybody's able to hit. And seeing that's incredible. And I don't want to say TJ Friedl was that spark, but certainly they started playing better since TJ Friedl got here.
TJ Friedel's hitting over 300 in his last 25 at-bats. Nick Kirby talked about it. We all downplayed how much a four-WAR player can, affect the team.
Yeah.
And all the jokes we make about Jonathan India being the captain and talking about Luke Maile being a clubhouse guy, I really do wonder if TJ Friedl is that guy. Because when he gets back in the lineup, even when he's not playing as well, like we saw when he came back after that first IL stint, he changes everything with the vibes around this team. He's incredible on the field, in the locker room. The energy he shows in center field is incredible to see. I love TJ Friedl. He couldn't be more important to this team. And if he can stay healthy and stay on the field, which has always been a concern for him, but if he can stay healthy and stay on the field the rest of this season, he's absolutely crucial to the Reds' success.
Yeah, for the year, obviously, he's still not hitting great. He struggled when he got initially called up before the re-aggravating of the injury, before he got drilled in the wrist. He's hitting .220, but his OBP is still .350, slugging .407, a .760 OPS. TJ Friedel's a guy that we're going to need going forward, and if you don't have him, the outfield rotation, what happens out there is not the way it was intended to be utilized. So TJ Friedl is important not only because he's good, but because we get to use Will Benson, Jake Fraley, and Stuart Fairchild at our disposal now. It comes back into our hand. And shout out to him. It's been incredible to see. Another guy that, again, I talked about all last week, but Jamier Candelario has been very good. When you sign a guy for $15 million, and the Reds have not hit on many free agent bats, that's just a fact. When you have the production that he's been giving you, it means the world. I know he's not great defensively, and hopefully when Noelvi Marte, that problem gets fixed right up. He goes to DH. You have Noelvi at third base. And maybe, I guess, he might go to first base on and off with Spencer Steer. But saying that, it's been incredible to watch. His come around, his power numbers, everything that he's been over the past month has been awesome. His last 7 games, he's hitting .270 with a .290 OBP, 600 slug. His last 15 games, .262, 330 OBP, 540 slug. And over his last 30 games, .270, 330, 500 slug. This is the back of the baseball card that everybody was talking about. He has come into his own seemingly here, and that's just a quick shout-out to Jamier Candelario, who's been absolutely great over the past month, and he's been important to this Reds' success. The home runs have been awesome. He's hit, 6 home runs over his last several games, 15 games here. Really cool to see.
And the most important thing is, too, that's the guy you thought you were going to get in the DH spot at the start of the year, and when he had to come in, and obviously he hasn't been fielding well at all.
He wasn't signed to be a fielder.
Yeah, he was.
So.
That's not why he was signed.
Right.
He's come in and he's filled a role that you were still hoping that he would fill, no matter where he was put, and it's definitely helped this Reds lineup win games recently.
We signed him as a $15 million DH that can fill in at the corners if we need him to, and he's certainly hitting like a $15 million hitter should. So that's absolutely all I could ask for from him. When Marte comes back, the boost we'll get defensively is incredible. They said in his rehab assignment he's going to start working a little bit at second base too. If Candelario can play third, you can give India some days off at second. He's obviously going to be better than Santiago Espinal at the plate. So just getting another guy who can be versatile and play different positions in the infield and give guys days off, get guys back to the roles they're supposed to be playing. That's just what this Reds team needs. You talked about it with Stu and how important Friedel has been to getting him back to that role he's supposed to be playing. I think Marte is exactly the same for a lot of these infielders.
Yeah, and speaking of the infielders, I've been thoroughly impressed with Jonathan India, and that's not a shtick or anything. It's just him fighting through that slump and getting to a point now where he's competitive is big. And if he's able to continue that, hopefully he's earned himself a role going forward. And he definitely has that role off the bench. But will he be starting every day this season? Probably. I think it'll probably be Jonathan India going forward at second base. I don't think that will change at all under any circumstance. You'll have Noelvi at third, and whoever plays at first is whatever. But shout out to the Reds infield, man. Weathering the storm. You lose Noelvi to steroids. You lose Matt McClain to injury. And them fighting through this right now to give us, at least right now, a competitive season. It's big time.
2 or 3 weeks ago, we were talking about whether or not you'd bring Matt McClain back. Should he be healthy if you're out of contention or whatever? I don't even know that that's a question anymore. I mean, this team is battled all the way back to one game below 500. If you can just keep this ball rolling for about a month and a half and even just sit right around 500, right around that wild card slot, there's no question about it. If guys can play, they play. So, I couldn't be more excited with where the Reds team's at right now. Granted, how May went, I never thought we'd be back to this level of excitement going into the heart of the summer. I thought it was over. I thought the Reds were chalked, if I'm being completely honest. I thought I was going to have to really, really hype myself up to get to go to games, and I'm excited to do it out of the ballpark again. So that's about all I can ask for as a Reds fan.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what it would take to be a bona fide, true, and I think they can win a playoff series type of team. And it's taking these next couple weeks here and dominating the division. You have Chicago. You have Chicago at home. You just played Cleveland, Milwaukee, and Pittsburgh on the road. You take a mediocre team in the Boston Red Sox at home, Pirates, then Cardinals again. Then you have the stretch where I think is the most important stretch of this season in July, right before the All-Star break, when you take on the Yankees, very good team on the road. But then you come home for the Tigers, the Rockies, 4 games, and then the Marlins, 3 games. And immediately after that, you have the Nationals. That'll be the biggest test, in my opinion, this season, because those are all winnable series, minus the New York Yankees. And I think if you're able to take care of business here, the Reds will be, in my opinion, a bona fide playoff team. But quick little other shout-outs regarding the Reds. I think Blake Dunn and Jacob Hurtubise have been incredible as well. I know batting numbers, they've not been great, but I do think they're both bona fide MLB players. I looked at, and this is I hate to keep giving ricochet shots to this guy, but we had Bubba Thompson on the team. It's just it's noticeable you're not a major league player. Everybody knows that. You don't take at bats. You're just there to pinch run. When you're the guaranteed pinch runner, nobody really believes in you, and clearly nobody believed in him when you sent him straight down to Double-A. So Jacob Hurtubise and Blake Dunn have stepped up. I think they both give some excitement. Blake Dunn's walk-up song is AJR. Love that. And, I think this right now, this is the Reds' best roster possible offensively. I don't think it can get better than this until we get Noelvi and Matt McClain back. And again, that means everything right now. The Reds going forward, though, Jacob, this stretch here, you have the Guardians, and then after that, you take on the division with the Brewers and Pirates on the road. Minimum. What's your minimum amount of wins here? 2 against the Guardians and then 6 against the division.
No sweeps is absolutely crucial. That's
the biggest thing. That's the biggest
thing.
thing.
Winning baseball is you win series, and when you lose series, you win a game. So the Reds not getting swept at all is absolutely crucial during this stretch. And look, I think we got to win. I think we got to win games. Like I know that sounds like a minimalistic way to think of things, but at the end of the day, like, you got to split the series with the Guardians at least. You got to win one of the 2 series against Pittsburgh. You got to win one of the 2 series against either the Brewers or the Cardinals. Like, you have to be around 500. And I know you and Reed ragged on Trace for saying the Reds should be right around 500 during that stretch earlier in the year, but I think that's how I'm looking at this one. If we can get through this divisional stretch and still be sitting, hopefully right above 500, coming out of this with, you know, a couple 10 and 7 in the next 17 games type of thing, that's what I would absolutely love to see, because the rest of the National League simply is not good. I mean, they're not good. We look at the wild card right now. The Reds are tied with about 5 other teams for that 3rd wild card spot. The Reds, the Giants, the Cubs, and the Cardinals are all tied, and in the playoffs right now, the Pirates just a half game behind. It's going to be the NL Central getting a team, if not 2 teams, in that National League wild card. So I think this stretch is crucial for this team, and it couldn't be coming at a better time with how we're playing. Maybe 2 weeks ago would have been better, but parlaying this run into into this stretch against the division is great, and I just hope more guys can get hot. I mean, India's hot, Steer's hot. Ellie seems to be showing a little glimpse of getting hot, and we know what he can do if he gets hot for a couple weeks. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited about where the Reds are at right now and where they're at going into a crucial stretch for how we see July and August going.
Yeah, I think the Cleveland series in itself isn't as important.
Right.
Just because, obviously, you know Cleveland's a very good team, and if you lose both of those games...
It's only 2.
Right, it's only 2, and you have 6 important games immediately after that you're going to want to focus on. I think the biggest thing for me is how are they going to show up in Milwaukee? I mean, Milwaukee is...
I can guess.
Yeah.
If you've watched the Reds for long enough, you can make an educated guess.
If they score more than 4 runs that series, I'll be shocked.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's in one game when we get the win.
Yeah. I give him one run a game in Milwaukee, and hopefully one of those is a 1-0 shutout.
Yeah.
That's all you can hope for.
I think that really tells you how they're going to go the rest of the season in the division. I think Pittsburgh is obviously very tough, especially if you have to face Skeens and
we'll get
Jones.
one of them. It's Falter and Keller the first 2 games of the series, and then Green against TBD after that.
And then you play them again in a week later.
Both Jared Jones and Skeens would be on normal rest for that 3rd game. So,
but, I mean, if they go out in Milwaukee and look flat and get swept, then I think
no sweeps.
I think you're kind of really dialing back where we are right now. But Milwaukee is the best team in that division, and then you have 6 against Pittsburgh, 4 more against St. Louis, to where those are games where you can really separate yourself from those teams and really make yourself a bona fide 2nd place team in this division, because you showed that they are better than the Cubs. Yeah. And if you can separate yourself from Pittsburgh and St. Louis, I think that really solidifies yourself as chasing Milwaukee.
We talk about it on the show all the time. It's just so important to be 2nd place in the National League Central. And with 6 against the Pirates coming up and 4 against the Cardinals, those are the teams you're fighting with for 2nd place. So if we can win those games, Casey, I think we have a good shot at that 2nd place in the Central.
Casey, are you back?
Am I back? Yeah, I'm back. I was the one that said that they would win most of the games against the Cubs like 2 weeks ago.
You did.
Mr. Optimism.
I said that. I thought that there was a chance that they would turn things around. They did. The next 2 series, I want to see them go at least 2-3. I'm just looking at the remainder of the schedule. There's 31 games left, if I counted correctly. And I counted, if you're being optimistic, I counted 11 losses. And what does that make that? 20 wins, I think.
Sure.
Is very optimistic. And I think that's actually doable. I genuinely think that's doable if you're aiming for that goal. I think that you can manage it because one, I looked at the Milwaukee series early on in the season. We scored 15 runs against them, and I know that was so early on, and you can't really say that they're the same team now. But that's not the problem. The problem was we gave up 26 runs, 27 runs.
Yeah, the Brewers' offense. Is a weird thing, though.
It's the most frustrating. The Brewers' offense and the Guardians' offense are like the most frustrating teams in baseball to go up against.
No home runs.
No
real extra base.
Tons of line drives.
You to death.
They don't swing at balls ever. Like it's so frustrating.
Yeah, the Brewers just finished a series with the Phillies last week where they scored a combined 2 runs, I think. So I'm not going to be I'm not too concerned about the Brewers' offense. They did score 10. What did they score? 15. They scored 17 runs in the series against the Tigers. 10 of those obviously coming in a 10-0 shutout Friday night. But saying that, I think our pitching staff has been actually elevated since then. I think I trust everybody in the rotation outside of really Frankie Montas. And I still trust Frankie to give most of the time, if not a quality start, then a start that resembles it. Six innings, 4 earned runs. If he's able to do that, then I'm more than fine. And if the bullpen can pitch like they have pitched over the past week, month, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all season, if you can do that, then I'm not too concerned. But yeah, it's good to see. The Reds are all the way back, and hopefully we can sweep the Guardians. I would like to see eventually. I'm going to look right now when the last time the Reds won the Ohio Cup. And I'm going to see, hopefully it's been Ohio Cup.
It's been a while.
MLB results.
Pretty sure it's been a while.
I'm going to see the record here because
I think we split with them last year, right?
did we? Well, it's usually a split. Let's see. Hold on. I'm going down. I'm going to find it. Maybe. So in the 2010s, the Guardians are 31-19. In the 2020s, the Guardians are 10-8. We have not been good in this series. In fact, we've only won in this series. In the 2000s, the Reds were 26-25. It is pretty damn close every single time the Reds play these 4 games. I don't know when the last 2 are. Usually towards the end of the year. Yeah. Oh my God, it's in September. It's the second to last series of the year. The next time the Reds play the Guardians. So take this. They're a very good baseball team, and hopefully the Reds can stay hot. But that's it. That's Reds talk. Brian B., I was told Council was the reason Milwaukee won.
No, their voodoo magic is why they win.
Yeah,
it's a winning
They have
organization.
voodoo
It's annoying. But.
Craig Council, again, this is the manager thing. I get so tired of it. I get so irrationally mad at anybody who brings up managers in baseball. It's just crazy to me. If your relief pitchers aren't going to be good, if your offense is going to go to sleep, that's the issue. It's not the manager. But saying that, David Bell, let's give him all the credit in the world. The Reds are back at it tomorrow night against the Guardians. We'll see everybody there. And that is it on ESPN 1410 Wing AM. We will be right back with you guys. And on the YouTube side of things, we'll be right back with you as well.
Yeah, this is the part where we do ad reads. But before we do that, I wanted to clarify something because I didn't have a very good point there. I'm saying that the max potential of the team is getting 20 wins in the next 31 games. Not that they should get that. Thought I would explain that just really quickly. Pawnee Water, made right here in Hamilton, Ohio.
Sure.
Uses natural limestone filtration, unlike the artificial processing that other brands use. The result, a healthy alkaline water, and some say the best tasting water in the world. You can visit Pawnee Water at PAHHNIwater.com to see where you can buy this great tasting water. And Encore Technologies, they provide IT solutions for a data-centered world with a suite of services from mobile computing to desktop to data center, supporting both centralized and work-from-home computing modules to improve efficiency and
Productivity.
That's
Feels
right.
good to be back.
Good work.
Good work, Jimmy. The
James.
path to innovation begins here. Visit encore.tech.
Wow.
And we have one more ad read to do.
If the Pawnee Water guys are listening, I would love another crate. I would love it.
Can you hear that? I'm parched.
I am very
Oh,
parched. I'm very parched.
You guys sound parched. Yeah, let's talk about the Game Time app. It's very easy to use. It's just 2 simple clicks. You can see your tickets, where you're sitting at, and pricing is all up front. We've got Guardians at Reds tomorrow. They've already got ticket sales in the popular section around here in Cincinnati for Bengals games. They're selling the Ravens at Bengals for $123 is the minimum right there. Red Hot Chili Peppers here in Riverbend. That's July 5th, 8 p.m., $71. I'm sure that would be kind of cool to go to right after 4th of July. Miami at FC. If you want to go see Messi.
When is that at?
That is the 6th.
July
that
6th.
same weekend. So go watch Red Hot Chili Peppers, then go watch Messi for the first time here in Cincinnati.
Red Hot Chili Peppers, they're known to get messy.
Yeah, that's a $170 ticket, by the way. If you use code OTB, you can get $20 off your first purchase. Again, Terms apply. Use code OTB for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed.
Casey, is it true that there's no Messi in that game?
What? No Messi?
Mouse Cop says no Messi.
If
That's
there's no
during
Messi,
Copa
I'm out.
America.
Oh, my God. I think he's right.
So they're stealing money from the hardworking people of Cincinnati by jacking up those prices for Messi, and he's not even playing.
Dang, that stinks.
FC Cincinnati. This is why I'm out on FC Cincinnati,
Yeah.
folks. This is
That's-
why I'm out
that's
on
why
FC
I'm out,
That's
too.
a bad organization.
It's a possibility, guys. It's not guaranteed.
Jacob, what are the odds you watch that they're playing? Let me make sure I got this right because I don't know the teams here. They're playing San Jose this Saturday at 10:30 p.
Do you want me to like do a little thing here? Or?
Yeah. What are the
Yeah,
odds?
I'm gonna watch the game. 100% sure.
Yeah.
No
That's-
question about it
that's
because
what I
they
thought.
play those on television.
No, that's unfortunate.
Ah.
That's unfortunately the dilemma. They're
Good
on
bet.
Apple TV. Okay. But here's the best part about it: if you have Apple TV, you still can't watch it. You have to get another Apple TV.
That's
purchase
good. I'm
on top of
glad.
the initial
The season
Apple
pass.
TV
I was worried it
The
was going to be
season
too easy to watch their 2 months
Yeah.
before they went on a 2 month break.
Why would you want a sport that is seemingly growing in the United States be behind 3 different paywalls on a service that not everybody has?
Capitalism, baby.
What a great time to be alive. If they were on TV, I'd watch.
No,
put
you
them back
wouldn't.
on. Put them back on. I watched Star 64 games. I watched them when they were on Star 64. I did. I tried.
I did too.
But they took them away. Nobody can defend the Apple TV.
Put FC Cincinnati back in Nippert.
I have a lot. Believe it or not, I have people who avidly watch this sport, who avidly watch FC Cincinnati, and every single one of them admits that it's the dumbest thing on the planet to have the Apple TV double subscription
Not
for
Casey.
FC Cincinnati.
Casey loves it.
That is objectively bad for the sport.
Casey's an
That
Apple
is
stockholder.
that is horrible for the growth of soccer. No doubt about it.
Drives people to the stadium instead, so you can
I
watch it in
guess.
person. But hey, I mean, I can't defend it. I'm not defending the league, but I don't think that you should just completely disregard FC Cincinnati.
It's $1,000 for me to watch a game.
Yeah,
$1,000.
it's $1,000 in the stadium for Messi who doesn't play, and then it's $1,000 at home behind 3 different Apple TV Plus subscriptions. It's just crazy. It's just ludicrous. I try to support him, Casey.
Listen, you don't.
but I can't watch the
hang
games.
on, wait. You don't have to do that. We can just all share my subscription. There.
Well, I think
then
that's
we can all watch-
That's a
And
crime.
then we can come into the studio.
That's illegal.
Are you trying to get me arrested?
Arrested. Just come over and watch it at my house.
What if
Or
we
we'll
did-
go to a bar?
I
where
do.
there-
I
where
do
it's
enough
watching.
45-minute drives throughout the week.
Hear me out. Hear me out.
This today was an hour.
What if we came into the studio and did a watch along for the FCC against San Jose
At 10:30
10:30
Yeah,
Jimmy,
Jim.
that's the
in fact-
worst
in
idea
fact-
you've ever had.
In fact, Jim, why don't you come up and do it, and I won't pay attention to it at all? How about that happens?
Fair.
Let's get back to the radio.
Yeah.
I can't. There's seemingly no way I can ever convince you guys.
Oh,
You're all
Nathan
right.
Hines.
So this isn't your subscription
This isn't
either?
your subscription?
We pay for it together. I don't know what you're talking about.
Nathan, is this your subscription or not?
We
paid,
need to know.
We paid for it
If
together.
it's Nathan's subscription,
subscription
Casey's
is it?
not a soccer fan.
No.
By the way, this is if whatever he says here, this is going to lose all of your credibility. If I find out that Nathan Hines is giving you a subscription to watch your favorite soccer team, you are not a soccer fan.
But we pay for it together. We pay for that package together.
Nathan Hines just said this is his
It's his
subscription.
It's his subscription.
We pay for that package together, though.
Doesn't
Where are
sound
the
like
receipts?
Where are the receipts? I don't have the receipts on.
Well,
me.
yeah, because they're on his credit card statement.
Correct. You don't get the receipts because they're on his credit card.
I'm gonna have to go through my Venmo now. I'm gonna have to go through my Venmo.
This is crazy. This Mouse Cop, I try to defend soccer, and I got a fake soccer fan here who doesn't even pay for his own subscriptions to watch his favorite team. And you want me to come in here and give serious takes? I can't do it all, Mouse Cop. I expect him to have one role here. He has one role, and he talks about FC Cincinnati, the very serious football club we have here in this city, and he can't do it. That's not on me. That's on him.
At least our football team's in the main
Correct.
bad soccer division.
Correct.
What? You guys
Listen.
should see the stadium they play in, though. It looks like a high school field.
Yeah, they all do.
Oh, no. Nathan Hines says, we split it last year. I haven't seen their half this season.
Oh!
By the way, I'm looking through Casey's scroll through his Venmo. Months have gone by. This is tough. I mean,
This
this
is a
is
bad look.
This
This
is
is tough.
brutal.
This is tough because I don't think we paid for this year.
Yeah, I know you haven't because you just told
Oh,
me.
no.
Ouch. Ouch.
to watch your favorite team.
We'll get that squared away.
I'm actually going to a
fix that.
game next week.
Who?
FCC
Against?
the Philadelphia Union, I believe.
They
Wow.
beat us in the semifinals 2 years ago.
2 years ago, yeah.
Yeah, I think didn't they lose in the
Oh, look at that, boys. That was a pretty insane pull.
That was very good.
because last year they got beat by the Crew, right?
Yeah, they were up 2-0 in that one. It's the hardest lead in soccer.
And
Are you
hockey.
done? Are we done? Let's get
Yeah,
back to
we're
radio.
done.
That was
Let's go
enough
back to
FCC talk by the fakest FCC.
I love
fan
that we
in
did
the
our
world.
FCC talk off the radio.
That's good. That's good for the viewers, too. Welcome back to Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. We are Chatterbox Sports. Thank you very much for listening on your car or radio, however you're listening to it. I say that because they do it on the former station I used to work at. When I listen to Reds games, they always say it, which the Red games, by the way, are on this station, which is ESPN 1410 Wing AM. But Tommy Thrall usually does it for that PSA for like safety belts. If you're listening on your truck, car, radio, whatever he says, so I copy that to this. But listen, by the way, listening to the Reds games, the Cowboy great, Tommy Thrall great, love that broadcast, love. I think the TV side needs some work, but other than that, John Sadek's been good this season. I think that's one Reds. I get a little bit down on my guy Sadek, but he's had a pretty good season. There's been a couple moments where it's a little bit too chippy for me when you're 20 and 30, a little too
We just
happy.
need one more home run ball to be orphaned. And
Correct.
He'll be all the way back.
We need another this ball had a family. We need one more of those by my guy Sadak. If we get another one of those, that was his best call. No doubt about it. But yeah, shout out to our broadcasters. I think that goes underrated in this city, how good of broadcasting we have. Legitimately, every single
Incredible.
sport, every team, you'll be hard pressed to find another city with this
All the way down to college.
with this level of talent here. Dan Horde, amazing. Lapham is whether or not you like him or not, it's fun. He's entertaining. It's engaging to listen to. Even Xavier, who I'll shout out here. I think Sunderman and Larkin, they do a good job. I got to work with them again over at the other station, and they're good people. They do a really good job making the games fun to listen to. This city gets, I would say it's a top 5 broadcasting city in sports. I don't know what the 4 would be. Probably somebody in New York, I'd imagine.
It's
I
tough
think,
when Breen does the Knicks
yeah,
games.
LA has good broadcasters
Joe Davis,
usually.
Dodgers.
Detroit's pretty good.
Detroit's pretty good. Who's Detroit's radio and TV guy? Who the two?
Tigers?
Yeah.
Jason Benetti and Dan Dickerson.
Are they good?
Benetti's great.
Yeah, and Dickerson's been around for like 20 plus years now. I think 25.
But yeah, shout out to our broadcasters. Going forward here, this was a fun little topic that I think it was Reed's idea. We are going to rank, perhaps, the top 5 sporting events that we've been to in our life. We just came off a weekend at the Memorial. It was very fun. It was an event that none of us had been to, I don't believe, right?
Correct.
Except for maybe Trace. I think Trace had maybe been there before. He played it, actually.
Not the Memorial.
He
played Muirfield.
He didn't play in the event.
Didn't think that had to be cleared up.
He
Correct.
paid $150 to get into the tournament.
He does not have a PGA Tour card, and that's the most important part. But let's start, Jimmy. Let's start with yours. Can we start with yours?
For the sake of the bit, since we do bits on the
We've got
show,
a bit
I have to start.
for
Okay,
Kirby
you have to
clip.
start. All right,
Yeah.
that's good.
All right, so Jacob.
We got to cut that so it's a good clean clip, though. So
Sure.
3 seconds.
Let's start with Jacob.
okay. My favorite sporting event I've ever been to is the Bengals' first playoff win in 31 years. January 15th, 2022. Bengals beat the Raiders. Jermaine Pratt interception on the goal line. I was hugging people I've never met, kissing babies, kissing dogs, whatever was around. It was just the pure happiness, the peak of enjoyment of any sporting event I've ever been to. And I've been lucky enough to go to a lot. And there has been nothing in my life that has topped how I felt after that game. I mean, the Joe Burrow running to the sideline, the inadvertent whistle, Tyler Boyd touchdown, and then the Jermaine Pratt pick at the end where it wasn't over until the clocks genuinely hit zeros.
Yep.
I just don't think there's a better game for Bengals fans than that one.
That's a game where it's. By the way, what's going on in the chat? What's
Jacob
going on?
was putting slips on everything.
Anything.
Yeah, shout out to our guy Fett. That was one of those where were you moments where it happened. I was at Brothers, I think, Bar and Grill in over the river there in Newport. I think is it still called Brothers? Pretty sure it's.
I believe so.
I think
Last time I was there, it was called Brothers.
I think it's called Brothers. I haven't been there in a while, but I was there. It was a packed house. Everybody in Bengals jerseys. It was an incredible atmosphere, an incredible environment. I loved it. And by the way, it almost makes you cry a little bit thinking about it, because it's the Bengals, again, no disrespect, they've been bad for a very long time. A very long time. And even when you had Andy Dalton and A.J. Green, you have Vontaze Burfict, you have a great defense, Pac-Man, you got all them, and you go on those runs and you just always lose in the postseason. Having it done for the very first time was a moment that I will never, ever, ever forget. Shout out to the Oakland Raiders for giving it to Vegas Raiders, whatever the hell they are.
Big time. Thank you, Derek Carr.
Thank you, Derek Carr. You're unable to get it done. People forget about Whistlegate. Whistlegate was one of the most crazy things of all time because, again, did we ever find out where it was coming from? I don't know if we ever did.
It was a ref.
It was a ref.
Yeah.
It was the ref who did it? And he just
acts on the sideline that he was inadvertent whistle. He thought Joe Burrow stepped out of bounds, which is obviously reviewable. Raiders fans don't think it is, but it is.
Yeah, that is wild. Yeah, I listen. That game was awesome. That's a good pick, Jay. Go.
That's a great pick. I honestly couldn't imagine waiting 31 years for my favorite team to win a playoff game. Oh, I waited 32. Well, I'm not 32, but we waited 32. My favorite...
Jimmy, you do bits well.
My favorite sporting event that I've ever been to was the Detroit Lions win over the Los Angeles Rams this wild card weekend, this most recent wild card weekend. It was also known as the Jared Goff game, where Jared Goff cemented that he is the leader of the Detroit Lions. And I think that this will always be my most coveted sporting event that I ever went to because of just seeing the people around me, similar to what you said, how you were putting your lips on everything. I think there were people crying all over the place. It was very emotional win for Detroit, for the Lions. And like Dan Campbell said, that it's a fan base that had been battered, had been beaten, and had been bruised. And I think
you just ate those kneecaps.
We bit those kneecaps, and yeah, it was honestly incredible. And I think to be able to say that I was there will always be very special. I think that is definitely number one. I think it will be number one for me.
We're in very similar organizational places.
Yeah.
And I've always said the only thing that'll ever top breaking that streak is winning a Super Bowl.
Yep.
I'm sure you'd probably agree.
Honestly, I was about to say just that. I think.
Are you more of a football guy than a baseball guy? You seem like more of a baseball guy, no?
More of a baseball guy.
So if the Tigers, if you were at a playoff series victory, you would choose that probably, right?
I think with the circumstances are just a little bit different because I've seen the Tigers win in the playoffs before. Most of the people that were at that Lions game had not seen the Lions ever win a playoff game. So
Detroit Don,
the
guy who dresses like a lion. Mm-hmm. What was that? Do we have eyes on him? What did he do? I feel like he would have stormed the field.
There was a crying video.
There was a crying video.
Him and the old woman that sits behind him that didn't go to games.
Oh, that's right.
Years.
The man that they showed on the NBC broadcast who was crying, I believe he passed away shortly after. I could be wrong, but I believe.
But yeah, that was a good one. Jacob, are you a World Series or a Super Bowl guy? You're a Super Bowl guy, right?
Okay. This is a little bit of a layered take for me.
Yeah.
I'm Bengals over Reds. I'm a bigger Bengals fan than I am a Reds fan. It's very close, but I go Bengals over Reds. I would rather have a World Series than a Super Bowl just because the games are in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I would love to see the city for a game. I think the Banks would be incredible.
Yeah.
Being able to see GABP host a World Series game would just be unbelievable. Obviously, if the Super Bowl somehow makes it around to Paycor one year on a random and the Bengals get there, that would take the cake because I am a bigger Bengals fan. But just because the World Series games would be here, I lean Super Bowl. I lean World Series.
What do you think has the crazy? I mean, I know you kind of just said it. I think a Super Bowl would enlist a riot in the city. I think a World Series might, but I think the World Series crowd would be more tamed. I think the football crowd would be down there already. I don't know if legally speaking, I don't know if you're allowed to watch those games in that stadium. I forget the rules on that.
I don't know.
I want to say you're.
Pro hockey and pro basketball do watch-alongs in
The
their
Lions
stadiums.
did. The Lions did it this year.
Did they really?
Also the NFC Championship.
It would be tough for the
I don't
Bengals
think- I don't
because you
think-
would get into the winter and it's outside, obviously.
I don't think the Bengals did. I don't think they did.
No, they didn't. But they put it on the side of the Reds stadium,
Yeah.
and the Banks was all full, which I think is one of the best ways to watch a sporting event.
It's definitely a little bit easier in Detroit because it is indoors.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean,
I don't know if I would do the watch-along at the stadium. You're watching it on TV and you're paying $15 for a beer.
Yeah, I would do it at home.
I
I would do it at home and then Uber up there.
If we're up by
Oh,
two
you would drive?
scores, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I would drive. I would
I'm
drive.
Ubering at the 2-minute warning. But we got to get up so I can get downtown. 'Cause
Correct.
if we're in the Super Bowl, I'm watching it at home
Yeah, I agree. I think
or
that-
in the stadium.
I think that would be the best place,
If-
especially you do it all year and
if
it's
the
your,
Bengals
it's your
won-
tradition almost.
if the Bengals won the Super Bowl and you were at your house, and the only way for you to get downtown was to run by foot, would you do it?
If the Bengals win the Super Bowl, I would have so much money from betting on them to win the Super Bowl that I would just drive my car down there and leave it in the river. I would just buy a new car tomorrow. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
All right.
My pick is, again, I'm not even a UC football guy, and as I was going through my list, 2 of my top 5 sporting events are UC football. UC beating Notre Dame in 2021 at Notre Dame was one of the world's best feelings. I don't think I've felt like that in a long time because it was the start of something where in college football, it's especially at that time, it was so hard for a non-Power 5 to get in. You have to beat Notre Dame. That was the one win. It was on the schedule. It's like if you want a chance, you have to go undefeated, and that includes beating Notre Dame in Notre Dame. It was almost like a mini championship game before the playoff game later on that season. But it was awesome. I sat behind an old couple. They were an older couple. They were clearly season ticket holders. They introduced Brian Kelly for that game, and me and my buddy we stood up and we booed him. We booed him because Brian Kelly. And the couple looked at us and they said, "Please sit down. Why are you booing?" And then we booed louder.
That's how you do it.
We booed louder. And towards the end of the game, when it was just UC fans left in that beautiful stadium, which it is, Notre Dame is one of my favorite places to watch a football game. Not a bad seat in that house at all. Yeah. I legitimately, Zach and I stayed there for about I want to say an hour after the game, and we just sat in it. It was like we'll never experience that again. So that was by far my number one sporting moment attended. Casey,
I have a very, very similar moment that we'll never probably ever experience ever again. That's the Rumble in the Jungle. I mean, having something so momentum changing, game changing happen. I mean, it was so loud. You would have thought that we would have possibly caused an earthquake with how loud it got. Quite literally, Rumble in the Jungle. That was one of my all-time favorite moments. It's almost hard to believe, like, how crazy that was, like how nuts everyone got. Yeah. We were so down. I mean,
they lost that game.
That game
was over a couple times.
They were about to lose that game right then and there. And the fact that we were able to cause that turnover and Sam Hubbard being a slow D lineman just running all the way back for a touchdown, I mean, it was glorious. So that's got to be one of my all-time favorite moments.
I remember I watched that game at home, and
So did
I was just like, my jaw was just to the floor. That was an insane way to win that game, especially because he's a Cincinnati kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that made it even crazier.
I was in the stadium as well, but Casey called dibs on that one before I could get it down on my list. That was incredible. And just to make it against a division rival who you just played the week before, the whole coin flip debacle, like just everything going on at that time with the Ravens-Bengals rivalry makes it even better. That was a great game.
That's good. Those are all our number ones. And by the way, I was at home watching that, and I was with my parents. It was just me, my mom, and my dad. And we were just sitting there watching. We were all just slumped over in the couch. We're like, all right, that's it. What a horrible season. And then that happens, and it's like, okay, we're back. Number 2 for each of us.
My second favorite one, this one goes out to Drew Garrison. The game in 2016, my absolute favorite non-professional sporting event I've ever been to. Ohio State, Michigan, the first ever Ohio State-Michigan game to go to overtime. I was lucky enough to be in the end zone that Curtis Samuel scored the game-winning touchdown in. Probably one of the most iconic pictures of one of the most iconic rivalries of all time. Drew points out that J.T. Barrett was short on the 4th down.
He was.
I would ask that you look at the play-by-play because it clearly says that he got it. they moved the sticks and he got a first down. So
He was short.
I think
Are you big
you
enough to admit that he was short?
I don't even think it was close.
You don't think it was close?
He got the first. Almost
I
half
think-
the ball was over the line. The overhead, about 2 years later when the overhead shot came out, it kind of put all that to bed. But all the down the line shots, yeah, it was about a coin flip.
I think
but the
going-
overhead shot was pretty clear.
I think being from Michigan and hearing how all the time how he was short, I think it is funny, and I love playing like the other side and like, no, he got it. But I think in the moment I was pretty shocked that
I will tell you this: if they
that
would have
they
called
did.
him short, he would have been short.
Right.
Like
And
if they would have called him short, it would have stood.
Yeah.
right.
But either way, win's a
But-
win, and Ohio State got the win in overtime.
That's
Yeah.
a good one.
It is.
was awesome.
People do forget Curtis Samuel right before he scored that touchdown ran about 25 yards in the backfield, back and forth like a yo-yo, and then got about 6 yards. So if Michigan would have just made a tackle in the backfield
True.
on a completely broken play, they would have won the game.
That is one of the best games ever
That was
in
an
the last
awesome game.
15 years. We're gonna go to break real quick. When we come back, we're gonna finish out our top three, and then we'll end it for the radio folks and keep it rolling for the YouTube folks. We'll be right back. ESPN 1410 Wing AM, the best sports coverage in the Miami Valley. Welcome to Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench, presented by United Dairy Farmers. Listen, we are finishing today's show with perhaps the greatest segment we've ever done, and that is we are ranking the top three sporting events we've been to. We're obviously doing this because of the memorial and the great weekend we had. We just finished Jacobs, the game, in 16 or 15?
2016.
Now we go to Jimmy. Your second best sporting event you've ever attended.
Yeah, my second best sporting event. Everyone always talks about how March Madness is one of the coolest sporting events itself in sports. And I'd never been until last year. I went to the first round down in Orlando. It's like a spring break trip with some of my buddies who we all love college basketball. And the first game that I happened to attend was the Furman, Virginia first round matchup, where Furman was pretty much dead, and Kihei Clark threw the ball.
Crazy game.
Just chucked the ball
Crazy
over
game.
half court. Honestly, one of the best calls I've ever heard from a broadcaster. And obviously I didn't hear that until later. And they caught it. They kicked it to, I believe his name was Hayden Pegues, and he drained a fairly deep three to win that game for Furman. And I honestly don't know if I'll ever be able to watch a March Madness game and feel the way I did being at that game. And I went to the Purdue-Tennessee game this year, and also a good game, and it was just nothing will ever compare to that one. And it kind of stunk because that was the first game of the 6 games that weekend that I was going to, and none of the games were even close to as
Peak
good as that.
excitement
Yeah.
at 1 p.m. on Thursday.
I remember right after the game ended, my friends and I looked at each other and we were like, there's no way this is how going to a March Madness always is.
I will say I've never been to the first round of a March Madness, and that's I'd see, because I like to watch all of them. I like to have 4 TV set up. I don't know if the magic would translate unless you get a game like this, because the broadcast was incredible by Kevin Harlan.
Oh, so good.
It was just him looking at the camera going, what just happened? I was on air for this, and you could hear my faint whimpers as I had a Virginia moneyline parlay with a couple other teams, and they were leg number 1. And obviously when that happened, I just let out a little yell. I'm like, what? Crazy game. That's a good number 2 by my guy Jim. My number 2. It is golf. It is not the Memorial. Getting to go to the Ryder Cup, seeing everybody there, the different countries, the different colors. Everybody you're seeing the Team Europe. You're seeing the Team America. It's one of those atmospheres that you don't really, like, pictures don't do it justice. You have to experience it. Everybody's there at like 4 a.m. doing cheers in the grandstands. It's legitimately crazy. And that for me is my number 2 sporting event. I don't know if I'll ever go to an event like that. It's not even golf really. It goes beyond golf. It's like an Olympic event. But it means more. So
Whenever you get a chance to cheer for your country,
yeah, it's
a little different than just cheering for a team.
Yeah, but even then, like my grandpa and I, we sat on the fairway there, and we had to. I think we were just looking. We were just camping out there for like a hole or two, maybe for like an hour. And we get to, I'm going to forget his name, the guy from Europe, Ian Poulter. Ian Poulter walked over to us. He was about to hit his shot. My grandpa looks at him and he goes, "Hey, good shot. He just hit his shot." And he looked over. He's like, "Hey, thank you." He gave him a little fist bump and went on his way. It was cool. It was a cool event. That's my number 2.
My second all-time event was the Bills game right after that Ravens game. I remember talking to my best man Thomas. We're just sitting there saying, like, man, we kind of want to go to this game. Buffalo's not that far away. We could drive up there. And after beating the Ravens and the whole coin flip debacle and with the DeMar Hamlin situation, it just felt like this was the game to go to. And then on top of that, it snowed, and we just dominated the Bills in their home stadium in the snow, wearing white jerseys. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better atmosphere. I remember it was getting towards the end of the game, and it was just only Bengals fans. And there was chants of Who Day, like, in the stadium. You were there too, right, Jacob? It was just fantastic. It was one of the best atmospheres at an away game I've ever experienced.
And I quite literally never broke a sweat. Like,
yeah, I never
the
did
game
either.
got close there in the middle for a second, but, like, really at no point in that game did it feel like the Bills were even a threat to beat the Bengals. The Bengals just had their way offensively from the very first drive of the game when they went straight down and scored a touchdown. It really just felt like we were on to the AFC Championship, which was unbelievable. And we even needed an interception at the end to seal it up. So I don't necessarily know why it felt that way, but it just felt so dominant.
Yeah, it was one of the best moments, one of my best memories of all time.
It's a good one. Number 3 is to round it out.
My number 3, we're going back up to Columbus. Another Ohio State game. Ohio State versus Penn State in 2017. Ohio State was down 11 points in this game with about 4:30 left in the game. J.T. Barrett didn't throw an incomplete pass in the fourth quarter. Saquon Barkley returned the opening kickoff to give Penn State a 7-0 lead. And it was Penn State basically exclusively for the first 3 quarters. Then Ohio State scored 19 in the fourth to come back and win. I've never really been to Ohio State games where they were underdogs. Ohio State's never really been an underdog. Obviously, the last couple of years against Michigan, that has changed. But at least in this stretch for Ohio State, they were favored against every Big Ten team almost every year. This year, Penn State, number 2 in the country, coming into Columbus, they were pretty decent favorites. I think they were 3 or 4 point favorites, which is a big deal when you're coming to the shoe in Columbus. Ohio State isn't underdogs there a whole lot. So for them to come back and win that game, that was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
My number 2. If people who watch the show think that I'm biased towards Detroit and I don't love all things Ohio sports, one thing we can definitely agree on is we love watching Michigan lose.
Yes,
and
Jimmy.
I think that this Notre Dame-Michigan game in 2018, it was Notre Dame's first ever Irish wear green game where they completely greened out the stadium. There was College Game Day. It was the first time I'd ever been to College Game Day. And this was back in my peak Notre Dame fandom. Before I started going there for school, I lived and breathed Notre Dame football, even though they continuously let me down every single year in the big moments. This was one where we pulled through. 24-17, I believe, was the final score, and this was the start of the Shea Patterson era when people were convinced that Michigan had finally gotten their quarterback and that they were going to go and be very good. And
what's old Shea up to these days?
They lost the first. Shea was the quarterback for the Michigan Panthers for a little bit.
That's good.
I don't know if
Michigan's,
he still is.
Michigan's batting about 1 for 20 on next quarterbacks if you count J.J. McCarthy as a hit. Brian O'Corn separated his shoulder. Cade McNamara is over at Iowa now, leading that gaudy offense. So
what a special
real
offense that
group
is.
over there.
What a special group. I don't remember this game at all. When I say I couldn't, you Michigan.
Really?
What happened in this game?
Phenomenal game.
I don't remember it at all.
It was a very good game.
It was on at
Notre
St.
Dame-
X's sophomore year homecoming on
Notre
the big
Dame-
screen. Yeah.
Notre Dame had a big, they started out hot. I believe they went up 14-0 or 14-3, and then right before half, Michigan ran a kickoff back for a touchdown, and that kind of made it feel like a game. And then Notre Dame pulled away a little bit, and then Michigan scored again to make it 24-17, and then they got the ball back at the end with a chance to drive down the field to score. And of course, in Shea Patterson's first game in a Michigan uniform, he fumbled the ball and Notre Dame recovered and won.
How about that?
Classic Shea.
Classic. My number 3, it is going to be this past weekend at the Memorial. I'm going to put it on my list because I did think it was cool getting to be on the course with everybody. Broadcasting. Say I broadcasted an event at a professional golf tournament. You don't get to say that very often. I don't think there's many people in their careers in broadcasting who get to say what they get to do what we did this past weekend. And it could not have been done without Casey and the help of Reed and everybody like that, and Trace and Sean and yada yada yada, and Justin Kinner. We couldn't have been there without them, and having to getting able to say we broadcasted our show on the course where PGA golfers were actively hitting behind us is the coolest thing I get to say probably I've done maybe ever. I don't think there'll be another thing like that unless the Bengals get to a Super Bowl and we do a show wherever they're playing. That would be the only thing that would come close. But again, this weekend was awesome, and I'm not going to forget it anytime soon.
Yeah, this is why we're doing this segment.
Correct.
Because all we've been talking about all morning is how cool it was for all of us to be up there. So, yeah, I mean, this was something I'll never forget. Super, super grateful that this is my job, and thanks for all the listeners and viewers for watching everything we did up there. It was a lot of content. I think it was over 24 hours of content in 3 days. So thank you, big time thank you to everyone who watched and tuned in.
Casey?
Number three?
Number
To
3.
round it out, we got 45 seconds left.
Surprisingly, it's a Will Benson walk-off versus the Dodgers.
This is so sad. This is so
In
sad.
June of 2023.
In a season where they didn't make the postseason, we're picking the Will Benson walk-off in a regular season game.
But experiencing a walk-off.
Sure.
The game. Forget about what happened the whole rest of the game or what happened the rest of the season. The atmosphere of a walk-off and the celebration that happens afterwards. I know it's not like a walk-off field goal to send you to the Super Bowl or anything like that, but it was still pretty spectacular. One of my more fondest memories of being a Reds fan, and the fact that it was Will Benson's first home run, I believe.
It was.
Right?
It was.
Made it that more special. And seeing just the camaraderie too, I just love when a whole baseball team just runs out of the dugout and just is cheering and they're waiting.
You're a big camaraderie guy.
I'm big into the celebration and camaraderie. Yeah.
I'm really sorry that's your number 3 because that's sad. But listen, it was a fun game. I'm not going to bash your moment. I was there. It's certainly in the upper echelon of games I've ever been to. But we got to get you to more events. Because that regular season game in a season that meant nothing is sad. But nonetheless, that's it for our show today. We are going to continue our top 5 on YouTube. Feel free to join in. You can on YouTube, unless you go back and watch the replay. Or, excuse me, if you're listening on the radio, go back and watch the replay. That's it. Everybody have a great Monday. It's the Monday Scaries. Everybody knows about it. But deal with it properly. Drive safe. Everybody have a great day. If you're listening to Car Radio, thank you very much. ESPN 1410, Wing AM, Kinner and Kev, or Kinner and Co. Somebody is coming up.
Kinner and somebody.
We know it's Kinner. Coming up right now. All right, we're back. Fetters, I'm not hogging the airtime. I'm trying to get through a show, brother. We got. Again, this is like Jimmy over there. God bless his heart. He's not a Reds fan, so it's hard for Jim to weigh in on the statistical anomalies of Lucas Sims. I'm not going to go over there and ask Jimmy about, hey, Jimmy, what are your thoughts on Lucas Sims this season? Jimmy, again, no knock of his own. He's not going to know one of our many relievers from this team. I'm very sorry. Tomorrow, you know what, Jimmy? That's your homework for tonight. I want a detailed analysis on Lucas Sims' season.
Yeah, because Jimmy doesn't have enough homework.
Yeah, that's true. Jimmy works every night. He texted this weekend at Saturday at midnight, like, hey, can you guys, somebody clip this Reds game stuff? I'm like, Jim, it's Saturday, brother. I think you're fine. But listen, that's Jim. That's our guy. And he gets paid a lot of money to do so.
Oh, yeah.
Saying that, to finish out this, we have number 4 and 5 for each of us.
My number 4 would have been a distant number 1 if it would have went a different way, but still one of the coolest experiences of my life. I was lucky enough to go out to LA for the Super Bowl, for the Bengals, all the pregame festivities, everything like that.
I can't believe that's not number 1.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was great. Everything
Matthew
about it was
Stafford
great,
game.
but we lost. So every time I watch that game at least once a month, sometimes more than once a month, and just cry every single time.
Can I
Because
ask how much tickets were for that?
you're allowed to ask. I don't have to answer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, though. It was a good time.
Undisclosed.
I wish we would have won, man. How much easier would life be if the
Nothing
Bengals
would
would've
matter.
won that game? Literally nothing
Love
would
you,
have
Mark.
mattered.
Fair.
Not the Reds' struggles, the Reds' perils. Like, you can sit back and like, yeah, the Reds stink, but it's like, oh yeah, we won that Super Bowl. So
No, and I've said it before, I'll say it again. The way my little screwed up sports brain works, if the Bengals would have got that ring, the Reds would have been much better over the last like 2 or 3 years.
Because
The curse would have been gone.
those correlate. Yeah. My number 4 is kind of similar to Casey's number 3 that Elliot thought was funny. Mine is
funny. I think it's sad.
Mine is a Miguel Cabrera walk-off home run on August 17th, 2013.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And I know you may think this is crazy, but this is it's more of a family moment for me.
Your family with Miguel Cabrera?
No, but I went. This was the year after Miguel Cabrera won the Triple Crown, and he was still very good, and we extended him for a lot of years, and it took up a lot of cap space, or whatever you want to call it. But the reason why this sticks out to me is because when we were at this game, we were going into the bottom of the 9th inning, and my dad said he felt like we were going to walk it off because this was back when the team was still good. And we went to the ALCS this year. And I was like, okay. And Miguel Cabrera came up, and I don't remember exactly what the count was, but the pitch.
You were 8.
Yeah.
I was not 8.
This is a tough memory for my guy Jim. How old are you right now?
I'm 20, almost 22 in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I was 11.
You're 11.
That plays.
That plays.
And
That's the last time I remember the Reds scoring a run in the playoffs. Same year.
And yeah, my dad said to me before, because I was nervous, obviously, and my dad said to me that Miguel Cabrera was going to hit a home run to right field. And surely enough, on the next pitch, Miguel Cabrera poked a home run out to right field. And that was,
How about
It's a
that?
shame sports books weren't legal back then.
it is
that-
a shame.
The Collins family would be rolling in it.
They would be millionaires. Are you kidding me? But that's a cool moment. That's a
Yeah.
cool moment. The topic again was sporting events, though. I feel like we got a little confused here.
The
with this.
August 17th game
against-
the Tigers game on August 17th, 2013 is one of Jimmy's 5
Against the
favorite
Kansas
things
City
about
Royals.
sporting events.
Ever.
That was a sporting event that took place.
It was. I can't argue it. So there's
Casey
that.
picked the second most memorable home run from the midseason game that he chose. Ellie's first home run was in that game too.
I was talking about the experience of the walk-off. Wow.
Well, tomorrow we can do
Hello.
top 5 experiences because this was.
You know what?
what
And we're going to.
I think some of us missed the mark here. My number 4, it is UC versus Alabama in the Cotton Bowl. The Cotton Bowl is a great. It was a great experience.
Great win for
excuse me.
UC to move on to the
So
championship.
he picks a game where they lost.
Well, yeah.
Not
because
only
of-
did they
great
lose, they
memory.
got
That's
They
a
got
great.
boat raced. I
Yeah,
think we ran
like,
for
what are we
6
talking
yards a
about
carry.
What do you mean?
You
What
want
are we
to
talking?
make fun of mine?
The Cotton
They
Bowl.
they didn't
it was
score
a-
a point.
The Cotton
They
Bowl
didn't
is.
score a point.
Nobody goes to the. Have you been to a Cotton Bowl?
They did
I
score a
have.
point. They got 2 field goals. They
Cotton-
crossed the
least
50.
he
They
was
crossed the
excited.
50 twice.
It was in Dallas. It was an awesome experience.
At least he was excited after the game.
UC lost. UC lost, but nonetheless, your team gets to make a college football semifinal once in your lifetime if you're a non-Power 5, and I got to be there to witness it.
He held Bryce Young to one of his worst passing games of his career. We just ran for 350.
Defense looked great. Defense looked great.
Did you have a lot of UC moneyline tickets in that game?
I hope not.
Yeah, I did.
Money line?
Yeah, of course he did.
Why wouldn't you have money line if you're?
You thought you had a chance?
Well, the spread didn't cover either, so I lost them both.
True.
But it's whatever. I thought that game was great. I still got some souvenirs from that game. It was really cool. By the way, that stadium is awesome. Jerry World rocks.
It was.
That
Jerry
is-
World rocks.
I think it's the best NFL stadium.
Yeah.
I did
Jerry
see Notre
World
Dame
rocks.
play there against Bama.
It's
We
incredible.
also got boat raced.
All right, Casey, you're number 4.
My number 4. This is one of my childhood favorite memories. This is one of my first games I ever went to.
Just a regular season game.
A regular season game. The Bengals played a unbeaten Tom Brady team in 2013, and it came down to the final drive. Tom Brady's driving down the field. It starts to pour down rain, monsoon, And Adam Pac-Man Jones comes up big with the interception to end the game. That's one of my fondest childhood memories because of my family being there. We're all rooting for Tom Brady to lose, basically, at that point. And, we ended up winning. So it was one of my favorite memories.
So if this was the top 5 favorite memories, you would win. But unfortunately,
But again,
this is top 5.
You picked a game that apparently doesn't matter because
What do you mean it doesn't matter? It was the Cotton Bowl. It was the Cotton Bowl.
If you go to Dame and then they lose in the Cotton Bowl, that doesn't matter at all. That game doesn't matter.
You're nonsense.
That game did not matter at all.
It does not matter at all in the grand scheme of things.
It was. What do you mean?
But it was a great memory, right?
They will go down in history as the only non-power conference to make the college football playoff semifinals.
UCF won a national championship?
Okay. In the format that they did. Yeah,
But
go ahead, Jacob. Number 5.
They also weren't even the only non-Power 5 conference team to beat Notre Dame. It only lasted a year at Notre Dame. They lost to
What?
Marshall the next year.
They weren't the
Did Marshall
only-
make the playoffs?
No.
No. Okay, so what are we talking
Notre
about?
Dame's
you
a
expect
non-Power
them?
5 team that makes the playoffs?
True.
You are right. That is true, isn't it?
They've been there twice.
Technically, they're the ACC.
Technically,
Technically,
They're
I don't know.
not.
You know what technically means.
I think I do. Technically, they are in every other sport.
but technically we're talking about football.
But technically, the school is a part of the ACC.
No, the sports are.
Technically, the football team is not.
I don't like the technically game, so we're going to move on to number 5.
Please.
My number 5 is the 2021 MLB All-Star Game.
Great
This
game.
is probably one of the least meaningful games I've ever been to, obviously, being the All-Star Game in the middle of summer. But got to go to the Home Run Derby as well. That whole kind of weekend thing is great. So if you ever get a chance to go to the All-Star Game, All-Star Weekend, I would definitely take advantage. It was incredible.
It's our only championship.
It was a lot of fun. It was very, very cool, and that was obviously the game Castellanos and Winker were in. So we got to walk down and holler at them. I think, you know how they do the All-Star Game, they announce the lineup, everyone walks out, and the fans of their team stand up and cheer. Well, obviously, also it's a packed crowd all the way to the back, every seat filled. Me and my mother were the only 2 Reds fans in that entire stadium. They cheered for Castellanos and Winker, and we were the only 2 standing up.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
I'm surprised you didn't put the Todd Frazier home run derby in there.
I always say that's my favorite Reds memory, but
That's our championship.
We're not doing memories, we're doing wins.
That's correct.
So-
You're right.
But that
National League
Home
won that
run
game.
That was
Derby.
also an event, though. That does count.
National
as
League
an
won
event.
that game.
fair.
Jims?
Ridiculous.
All right. My 5th moment was the Memorial Tournament because we are sticking to sporting events, and
Jimmy's 5th one wasn't an event.
I
I had to change mine too, Jimmy. Don't worry.
Well,
my 5th
Keep
one,
going.
Mayor, it wasn't really an event, but I had an awesome time at the Memorial Tournament, similar to what Elliot said. I'd never done a sporting event the way that we did it through the media side of things, and I honestly loved it. And I do like golf, but I had never really been a huge fan of golf, and being able to see it really up close like that, and really kind of getting to cover it in a sense in the way that we did it was something that I never really expected to be able to do, and it was awesome.
All right. My number 5. The national championship game. It was in Indianapolis, Duke, Wisconsin. I was a Duke fan at the time. I'm less so now. But saying that, it was really cool to experience. That stadium is, I don't know if they've changed it, up in the very, very top. We were literally in the last row. So we had personal TVs above our heads. I guess if you're that far in the nosebleeds, because you can't see the court. I mean, that's the worst part about these basketball national championships. And once you get to the Sweet 16 and the Final Four and everything like that, come tournament time, because football stadiums weren't meant to hold basketball courts. That's just a fact. And it's hard to see. But saying that, it was an incredible atmosphere. I went with my grandpa. We took a bus up there. We tailgated. It was a very fun time. So that game holds a special place in my heart. I still have my Final Four ticket, which is an incredible ticket. I don't know, like Jacob definitely has a couple of them. I imagine you still have your Super Bowl ticket and stuff like that.
Well, sadly enough,
no.
Super Bowl's not physical tickets.
Really?
It's digital.
That's crazy.
I wonder. I mean, I'm sure you could have went to a box office and got something, but we dropped the ball on that one. Definitely would have spent the time had the Bengals won to figure that out. But yeah, no physical tickets for the Super Bowl, which was a shame.
My favorite, when you get the tickets for the Final Four, it comes in its special little fold out thing. It was. I still have it. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
But that event was one of my favorites. Casey Rue.
So I had a lot of different options here. I had possibly a divisional game that we went to, Elliot, for FC. That was fun and memorable.
Yeah, that's a moment. That's a sporting event.
That was a good one.
That's a playoff game.
I would have probably put that at number 4 then instead of the Patriots one if we're wanting to make fun of that one.
Sure,
it's a memory.
but you're not an FCC fan, so you'd exclude it.
This one probably should have been higher. The championship game for my wife, she won a ring. It was absolutely fantastic. She dominated this game. It's a memory and an event. So
perfect, double whammy.
Yeah, I mean, if we were doing personal family memories, then you would win for sure.
I just realized. Oh no, keep going.
Well, no, that was pretty much the entirety of that bit.
Okay, I just realized that we just did our top 5 favorite sporting events. I'm a national champion with a national championship ring, and it is not in my top 5.
Yeah,
it's because we beat Ohio State, and that is forever moderately marred for me.
You should have probably thrown one of those in. In fact,
one of the 4 rings.
Yeah, one of the rings probably.
Top 5.
One of the rings probably should have made it. But Casey, that's a good thing, I guess. Go Soccer, go. That's it for Chatterbox Sports Off the Bench today. We will be back tomorrow. We do have Kinner at some point today, I believe, is what I'm told. I don't know. I'm not told much. But Kinner did say he's going to come in at some point and do a show. So we're going to hold off on a members-only stream because we don't know if Kinner's going to be in now or later or when. Is he out there right now?
He's out there right now.
So he will do a show coming up immediately right here on our Off the Bench YouTube Chatterbox Sports stream. Other than that, everybody have a good Monday. We'll see you back tomorrow.